Justin was hoping that Santa Claus was going to bring him some electrical tape, but I don't know if that actually happens or not.
Start cast stream.
Alrighty.
Oh, don't worry.
Oh, get rid of that. Change
We're
the
almost
name.
there.
Is Alan trying to override our already? Like he's
Yeah.
he's already in charge?
He's all writing.
Alan.
Michael.
Yeah.
Are we online?
Yes.
We are online. What does that mean? We started?
We're online. We're doing it live.
It's time for Planet Green.
We have launched.
We've completely launched. We've started the show, and it is Planet Green Trees. We're about to embark 2 hours of medical marijuana and marijuana reform in Michigan.
Attention, ladies and gentlemen, the Planet Green Trees show is underway with your host, attorney Michael Kamor.
Alrighty.
We have launched.
Already we've launched. Welcome everybody, and I apologize for the short delay here, but as one of the listed fourth of the lessons from Zen, let go of anger. We're ready to start. We appreciate you hanging in there with us, and welcome for our end of the year show. I think the year's ending, isn't it? 2020 is finally coming
Drawing to
tail
a
end.
close.
A
Yeah.
lot to celebrate in that regard.
Yeah.
And we thought we'd get a quick show in here on a special Wednesday edition of Planet Green Trees before the end of the year, and then start right back at it
Yeah.
next the first Thursday.
Dan was very concerned with everyone's safety tomorrow on the roads, so we did it on Wednesday instead.
Without sacrifice, there shall be no reward.
That's right.
So, what episode is it? 400 and what, Dan?
95.
495. We're calling it. It's the end of the year, and you know it. Is that right? Is that what we're calling it?
Is that like it's the end of the world?
Ah, very good. You picked up on that. Good, good. That's the it's revealed itself. The end of the year. Got a bunch of topics we're going to talk about here. Let me tease them real quick. Something about civil forfeiture is now allowed at the airport. And
I thought it was always allowed at the airport.
yeah, they cut it back. We'll talk about House voted 70-35 to approve the SB 0761 sponsored by, what is this? That would create an exemption to civil asset forfeiture. Okay, that's what we're talking about. All right, so the forfeiture in Michigan, the exemption, this bill. All right, then we got man charged with drug delivery argues Wyoming drug laws are unconstitutional. How could that be?
Oh boy.
But there's an interesting parallel, and someone brought that to my attention. It's kind of
Wyoming's always been so progressive.
all right.
I'm surprised.
Well, they haven't they have not decriminalized as it would be expected. All right, here's another good one that someone sent to me. Drinking in the streets of Allegan County. They've opened up apparently the social district opening of an area where you can socially drink outside.
Yeah. Where you can violate local laws regarding
They've
open
suspended them.
intoxicants,
They've
yeah.
suspended them in the interim so that people could drink and live
in the streets in the middle of December.
The question is, shouldn't they be doing the same for cannabis in light of its licensing? All right, we can talk about that too. And there's one more I thought that we had, which was about law enforcement's view of legalization in neighboring states of, where was that one? All right. It's not as well laid out as it might have been in the past. No blame, no anger, just a fact. But it gives us an opportunity. Oh, here we go. Law enforcement studies marijuana legalization in the surrounding states. That's the other topic. As I say, we probably won't get to any of them. We got a lot of stuff to just talk about on the fly. But as we go through and I introduce the community entertainment, we have a lot of expectations on them to be entertaining tonight. I want to go through here, but I want us to consider this the question. The question of the day is this. It's very simply put. It's usually spoken about like in the context of who you'd want to play a round of golf with. Name 3 people or 4 people. I'm going to throw it out there. Name 4 people you'd like to have dinner with. You can have like a 2.5 hour dinner, talk to them, and have that conversation. And they can, 4 people, 4 individuals, 2 people and their partners, but throw some out there and make it count. All right, Dan is here in the bunker, and Justin's somewhere also off screen. He's not coming forward for that reason. They're not to blame for the technical difficulties. Just because they are in charge of all this doesn't mean that they should.
They're definitely not responsible for the problem.
Let go of anger.
That's right.
But moving around the room, we've got Jim Powers from Michigan Parents for Compassion. Jim is here every night, every Thursday, and Wednesdays too.
And Wednesdays.
Appreciate your
Not every, but most.
your
Most.
scorecard has been pretty excellent attendance.
It's pretty good.
That counts for a lot in my book.
Yeah, it's good. Well, thank you, Michael. It's good to be here on this December 30th. So happy New Year, everybody. Glad we got through it together. And for people that I would want to have dinner with, Bill Gates, only because Bill, I've experienced the rise of Microsoft since I was very young. I've been in IT my whole life and was passionate about it when I was a child. I'd love to be able to pick his brain. In the same respect, probably Steve Jobs. Kevin Mitnick, who I don't know if you guys know who Kevin Mitnick is, but he was a hacker back in the 90s, and he's still a hacker. He's a consultant now, but he was one of the very first people that was charged with federal crime for hacking a computer, specifically hacking into a phone network. But I'd love to be able to pick his brain. And then, from a leadership perspective, I'd really love to talk to Barack Obama. And the main thing being that I'd love to figure out more about what makes him tick. He was always so even keel when he was president. And to have that level of calm, of steady, I'd love to just pick his brain and try and figure out what makes him tick. So, anyway.
He was a good orator and very good, public representative in the sense of his finely skilled. I agree with that.
Yeah. Wonderful statesman.
Yeah. Kind of like a current. All right, so we're moving over to the man of all hats. Many of you may know him from his depth of catalog music from the 70s. Fly Like an Eagle being some of that in his repertoire. He is a retired police officer, Detective Canton, and all things, I like to call him the Rover here at Comorn Law PLC. He was very, very, it's like my emotional support human today. So we had some trials and tribulations we had to deal with, but...
Who's supporting who?
Well, that's teamwork, my friend. There's no I in teamwork. And with that being said, to focus on the man in the middle of the scrum of the whole thing there.
Whew.
Yeah. My dear friend Steve Miller. Steve Miller.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, if I look a little roughed up, it tells the tale of the day, Jim.
Yeah.
It was a doozy, but we got through it.
Yeah, we did. And we accomplished all that we wanted to. I know you proclaimed at the beginning, before we came on here, that you wanted to talk a lot tonight. I'm not going to put you on the spot immediately to be entertaining. But please indulge us, if you would, with the 4 people you'd want to play a round of golf with. Obviously, there's a foursome, so you'd be like walking in the back listening. But so call it a dinner. Party of 5, 1. You get 4 people with you.
Oh, do I gotta really answer this right
Let's
now?
come back to you. I mean,
Yeah, I'll come back.
You know the
later
time
on
with
this
Jim's
one.
answer.
Can I pass? I need a little time.
All right, fine. I don't know. I got to
Like
figure
you taught me when I'm ready.
Okay, fine. That's good. That's fair. Let's go up onto the Zoom world.
The Jumbotron.
And Amanda, as I was giving Jim props for his excellent attendance, I don't want you to think that because you're not here, this is the most superb. You're here all the time, and I still get a calendar reminder every Monday at 2 o'clock that we have a PGT
It's 2
meeting.
o'clock. Yeah, I need to.
I get that. No, it's good. No, I,
I
like
get that
it.
same reminder.
We should.
And yet we don't have a call.
You know what? It's weird. I feel like.
No, we
I
don't.
feel like, but we all connect when the reminder comes up in some way, and we know we'll all be ready on Thursday. But
Yeah.
thank you for being here tonight. I'm glad that we're able to join even by Zoom, and excellent background there. And of course, Amanda's YouTube reporting on various facilities throughout the state is quite intriguing, and I would advise those of you interested in what's what at these various places to check that out. And of course, the Elevation Station, medical certifications, is a quality place, focusing on gold standard certifications. But with all that being said, please welcome Amanda Jocelyn.
Hello, everybody. And I'm sorry, Michael, that I wasn't in attendance tonight. And Happy New Year to everyone. And I'm looking forward to some things in the new year. And mostly just getting out of 2020 is probably good. But as far as like the 4 people, I only have 2, like Joe Rogan and Snoop Dogg. I don't really know
That's fair.
any others right now, but you know, like Steve, maybe somebody will come to mind. That was kind of like a pop quiz question.
Yeah,
And that's kind of my best answer.
yeah. And there's probably a lot, like, I don't know, you don't have to admire them. I should just call it, you don't have to admire them. They may just be someone that you want to argue with. Like I say that.
I think both of those folks are like the ones Joe Rogan is pretty easy to get along with, and
Yeah.
he seems personable. And then Snoop, of course, it's just because I just,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's funny and stuff.
Right. And all that makes for a great evening of dining, which is really the ultimate objective.
Exactly.
I didn't say just
That's
to go
right.
and sit in a restaurant and listen to people talk at you. You're talking
Jim
about
got totally intellectual right there, and I thought we were New Year's Eve in it, and I thought, I was going into this whole thing with a New Year's Eve celebratory idea, and Jim's pulling out all the intellectual answers. So I don't have him as good.
there's a lot of people in that would pick those 4 people. You know what I'm saying? Like there's people that
It's not great.
and
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, Steve Jobs and
Yeah, some hacker,
Bill Gates.
some legendary
Yeah,
hacker,
absolutely.
some criminal. Just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe the guy from, maybe like, speaking of that, maybe like El Chapo or something,
Right.
I'd actually like to
Right.
meet him and have a little convo with him. That would be super interesting to hear about some of his stories and everything.
Yeah. There you go. All right, so I know people are anxious to hear, Amanda. When can they expect the next Amanda report?
Very soon, Michael. I've just been doing some holiday stuff. So we're going to be pulling out a new Amanda report for next week.
All right, excellent.
We're rolling through the new year strong.
Excellent. And of course, it wouldn't be. Thank you very much, man. It wouldn't be Planet Green Trees if we didn't have the our dear friend and Rasta Rabbi and respected marijuana law section council member. He,
Yeah, get off
of course, is a master zoomer in his own right, and we like to call him friend and farmer. Please
Master
welcome
what? A master what?
Master Zoomer
Okay.
and farmer.
Thank you.
Friend and farmer. Alan Pizer.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We're so glad you could attend tonight. It's sponsored by Camoran Law, the best marijuana law firm in the state for all your marijuana law-related needs, whether it's business or criminal defense, and general criminal defense as well. So if you have any business issues or criminal defense, certainly want to contact CamoranLaw.com at 1-800-656-3557. And I might need your defense after naming my 4 participants for this dinner. The people I would want at my dinner are number 1, Timothy Leary, number 2, Tommy Chong, number 3, John Lennon, and number 4, Harry Anslinger. Now, the first 3 people I named are all very pro-cannabis, and of course Harry Anslinger is the one who made marijuana illegal, or is given a lot of credit for it, and told a lot of lies. And the reason I'd like him sitting there at the dinner table with those other 3 who are very pro-cannabis is so we can all light up and blow smoke in his face.
Right.
That's
That's
not right.
nice. Do you think you want to be violent towards him, Alan? Would you have violent tendencies?
No, I'm not a violent person. I just want to suffocate.
What if he
him.
refused
What's
to?
up
Right.
for it
What if he
now?
refused to relent that he was wrong?
Oh, I would never give up on that. I would argue him to death.
Okay. Right, because he's got to at least stay there and eat dinner. He's got to listen to you.
Yeah. Right. While I'm blowing marijuana smoke in his face.
Oh, Alan.
Do you think anyone of that group would get up and walk out when they heard the arguing? Do you think John Lennon would stick around? He'd probably get up and leave.
Yeah, I don't know. He might not like it. He's kind of a peaceful person. But if the pop could, he'd probably stay.
You know, it reminded me of, just because we're mentioning John Lennon, and while he's never been on the show, I am a fan. But we did have a remarkable historical event, I felt like, and somewhere in the archives it's been recorded. As many may recall, we've had Lester Grimspoon on the show several times. Legend, he recently passed away, and enough tribute has not been made to him. But he told the story of how, like a week after John Lennon first smoked marijuana with Bob Dylan, he had dinner with him. They were talking about it and stuff. And he kind of like enlightened it, our listeners at that point. It was a very special, weird moment of, I don't know, in the archives of cannabis use. And Alan, thank you for your presence tonight. Appreciate the kind words for Camorra Law. And let's move. We got to get Jamie. Jamie's.
I know, we gotta get Jamie and then we gotta go to a break.
Why?
We gotta fix some stuff.
We got to fix some stuff.
We gotta fix some stuff.
Oh, fix. We'll come back and introduce Jamie. All right, so we got Jamie and his answers, and of course, don't go anywhere, Jamie. Yeah, we're staying on the Zoom. All right, we'll be right back. We have to fix some things, real quick.
The Planet Green Trees Show.
Join the Michigan Medical Marijuana Association today. MichiganMedicalMarijuana.org. The MMMA is focused on the well-being and safety of medical marijuana patients. The MMMA site provides the most comprehensive and up-to-date news on legal issues, politics, research, cultivation, as well as the various strange products and methods of cannabis use. Come join the discussion with the most knowledgeable and passionate advocates in Michigan today. MichiganMedicalMarijuana.org.
I am Earl from G3 Cannabis Therapy Network, and you are watching Planet Green Trees, the original and #1 podcast in Michigan for all things cannabis and legal news.
Hey folks, this is Amanda Jocelyn with the Amanda Report, sponsored by Camorra Law, aired on Planet Green Trees TV. We're here in East Tawas, and man is it beautiful weather, but a little windy. We're about to do a review on the Botanical Company. I'm here with Danielle, and we're at the Botanical Company in East Tawas. Tell us a little bit about your location here.
So we are in Northeast Michigan in the beautiful town of East Tawas. We opened in October of 2019 with our medical license, and then February of 2020 we got our recreational license. We have been warmly welcomed by this community, so we're so excited to be here. And obviously you can always find us on Weed Maps and Leafly with any location information.
Very nice, okay. All right, so let's hear about some of the products that you carry here at the Botanical Company.
Definitely flower is a fan favorite here, so we want to make sure that our flower selection is very strong. And then obviously we're always listening to our guests and making sure that any new products coming online, we're getting them in as soon as possible and they're available for sure.
Tell me about another thing that may make Botanical Company a little unique.
I would say is our aggressive loyalty program. Tawas is a fantastic tourist town through the summer months, but we know once those tourists leave, we have to make sure that we're doing right by our local demographic. So we wanted to make sure that our loyalty program was aggressive for them, so they were coming back and spending their hard-earned bucks and getting the best bang for their buck.
Very nice. Okay, so tell us about how somebody would get started here. I understand you have both adult use and medical use. So what would somebody that's looking to sign up, what would they need to have?
On the medical side, you just need your valid MMJ card and a valid driver's license or state ID. And then on the recreational side, you just need a valid ID. And then really we want to make it very friendly and make it a place where either if you're new to the cannabis lifestyle or very well versed and know exactly what you want, we just want to make sure it's a friendly atmosphere to come on in and spend as much time with our budtenders as you'd like to.
So other locations, what can we expect from the Botanical Company, Danielle?
We're so excited. We have our vertically integrated facility being built as we speak in Lansing. Such a strong cannabis culture there. That will be our cultivation, processing, and provisioning. That really is our flagship location.
Very exciting.
So November 1st, we hope to have provisioning open there. So we're just over the moon about that.
Yeah.
And then also up in the wonderful town of Kalkaska. Such a great cannabis vibe in that town. We love it. We're going to be opening provisioning and then also social use lounge, which is just, we're so excited to be able to come and get your products. They're right next door to each other. You can come and shop and go next door and just check out some music or hang out, and we're over the moon about it.
I can't wait.
Yeah, us too, us
Yeah,
too.
so I guess we'll have to be making another trip up north to take a look at not only the provisioning center, but also the lounge. And I understand there's going to be some awesome Kalkaska Kush.
Oh,
going on.
Kalkushka.
Kalkushka.
For our friends at Real Leaf Solutions.
Very nice.
And
Very
it
nice.
is something that you can currently find at Tawas Store. And we will be obviously providing that at all of our locations, and it is phenomenal. Try it if you can find some.
So keep your eyes open, folks, and we'll be reporting more with their Lansing location and their Kalkaska location. This is Amanda with the Amanda Report, sponsored by Camoran Law and aired on Planet Green Trees. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
An important and historical farm crop in American agriculture is returned after having been classified as a controlled substance and illegal. On December 20th, 2018, the President signed the Farm Bill, also known as the Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018, into law. The signing of the act was great news for the hemp industry, which amended the definition of marijuana in the Federal Controlled Substances Act. Hemp is now defined as the plant, Cannabis sativa L, and any part of the plant, growing or not, with less than 0.3% THC concentration on a dry basis. The plant itself is no longer a controlled substance. Hemp is one of the most versatile plants on earth. From clothing, fiber, paper, building materials, hempcrete, biofuels, CBD, and medical uses, it has been a part of America's industry for over 200 years. Even the United States Constitution was drafted on hemp paper. The time is now. If you're thinking of getting in the farming or processing of hemp, contact our global experts, legal, and consultation teams to make sure that you're on the right road when you venture into the new hemp industrial revolution. Michigan Hemp Industries has been a leader and advocate for the return of the hemp industry, so come be a part of the new revolution in agriculture in Michigan.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Do it live.
So, you know,
Are we live? We're doing it live now?
We're live. We're as live as they come.
Already?
Dirty Dan.
We're live? Is that what's going on? Yes. All right, good. Okay, good. Welcome back.
Are we doing it live?
We are live. Welcome back. Planet Green Trees, episode 491.
What do you got here?
5 or something, 6. Whatever, 495?
Little holiday cookies.
Hey.
Merry Christmas. Dan.
$4.95. Yes,
All right, good.
sir.
495. It's the end of the year and you know it.
Man,
Now let's
a
go
little
back
bit
to
of
where we
sugar
left
picked it
off.
right up.
So it's a good way to tease and compel people to come back for the other, after the break. The one and only Jamie Lowell is here to join us. I think we ascertained he's at his normal abode, although I thought before he was like working out, doing some like calisthenics and stuff. I wasn't sure. Well, he's always the most efficient use of Zoom time. He's become to be known as amongst really the person who's responsible for everything. So please, with all your heart, welcome our dear friend Jamie Lowell.
Hello. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy, or grateful end of a weird year.
Dan, are those
Right, that's something to be grateful for in and of itself, right? We should celebrate. It's the end of the year and we know it. And we're happy about it.
Those of us who made it, those of us that didn't have direct connections to a lot of the tragedy that's taken place throughout the year.
And we all suffered in some capacity. I think it's fair to say different forms of it. You know what I mean? It wasn't normal for anybody. I don't know. I guess there's a group of people. Some people probably, settled in. There's a funny South Park episode about how Carbon doesn't want to go back to school. He's like, God used to like staying at home. I'm sure there's people that like, they don't, with no consequences, of course. But it just seems like the most immediate satisfactory thing to do. You know what I mean? He actually created this really funny because he gets on the Zoom, like fakes that he's locked up, and then puts a picture of himself there and leaves.
Very Cartman-esque.
So he's locked up. Really fun. All right, listen. With that being said, other than the introduction of the Cartman appropriate character, before we talk about Jamie, who are your 4 people? I'm curious if they exist.
Oh, yeah. I think Sir Isaac Newton and Da Vinci. Maybe sprinkle in George Carlin. And maybe limit it to 4. Maybe Bill Nye the Science Guy. I think those guys would have some interesting chatter and some good chemistry.
It's interesting. It made me want to categorize some we got Plato and Socrates and blah blah blah. I was gonna go with King Solomon, Jesus, Muhammad. Get all those guys in the room. With that Moses. Who else?
What about you, Michael?
I gave 2 tries. Probably. I like Jamie because he's the science, and I'm a big. I was just arguing with Steve about not arguing with debating.
Yeah, good one earlier.
Science, unemotional science is a
Really
barometer for all things, but. And I don't know because I really don't have. First of all, wherever we go and eat, if they're going to eat not vegan, if they're going to try to eat, I'm going to be judgmental. I don't care who they are, and who's going to want to hang out with me for that? So I'm probably going to have a tough time getting anyone to come along. But I joked. I was saying King Solomon, Jesus, Muhammad, Krishna. I don't know. Who else would there be? Fucking
Abraham.
Whatever. That's one line you can go the whole Plato and Socrates. You go Greek. Maybe Arnie, Jack, and
Plato might get on the list if we could expand it. For me, sure. I thought about that.
Sure.
I thought we were doing only people that were alive.
Tesla.
So I feel like I was handicapped.
John Lennon in there, and I thought that was licensed to talk about dead people.
Well, of course. In the history, could even be an evil.
Should be more specific.
You know what? Why do you think that my questions have limits on them? And who's going to buzz you in violation?
No limits.
I don't know.
No limits.
First of all,
limitless.
The more confusing,
first of all,
the better.
The pattern of this attempt to use some points of interest there was that
Pointing.
When I said like go back in time in history, people were like last week or a couple months ago I'd go back. I was talking like in history, like, and then so to say that we're not talking about anyway, that's kind of a funny. I'm not clear. This just means I'm not clear. It's not clear. I think and one of the other important points of 10 things to Zen.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So if we're talking about dead people, it opens up a whole.
Oh, you want
new
to change your
plethora.
answer?
Yeah, I want to talk to Richard Nixon.
Okay.
I might add one, like maybe Maya Angelou, or perhaps like that's pretty much it. Maybe a Maya Angelou.
All right, so let's do this. I know we have some topics here to talk about, and
Are you going to tease the topic?
no, I wanted to ask Jamie a couple questions about the current state of things. That and everyone can, so some of the things that we've tried to discuss as newsworthy as the state of the market. We have a lot of, I like to believe we have people, caregivers, and maybe licensed people that have interest in maybe listening to the show, or just generally people that are paying attention. And Jamie, of course, is affiliated with a couple with a company that has several licenses, just opening up in Lansing, if I'm not mistaken, and also in Taos, called Botanical. I see the Amanda report on that.
Coming soon to Kalkaska with the social use lounge.
Nice.
Nice.
All right,
Very
so with
good,
all that being
Jamie.
said, Jamie, I know I may have texted you earlier in the week. We've discussed at various times the different. We each have getting from different information the trends and impact and effects and various ways this information is gotten is from, of course, the reporting that's done monthly on the MRA. Andrew Brisboe has spoken publicly at various times, different updates and whatnot, and also from just the industry itself, your contacts through your company and some of ours here at Comore Law PLC. But one of the things that I think is always of interest is it kind of gives some insight to the health of the market is the wholesale prices of cannabis coming out of the grow, and I would say that because the other two independent licenses are completely reliant upon the fleshness of the growers. There's several companies that have been a little bit of an advantage, I would say, because of their vertical integration that they control and sell through their various licenses to the retail. But it still is the expense to grow, the methods that are being used to grow still have not, they may not even be driving it, but it's still expensive to grow, and a lot of the methods that are being used right now compared to other organic methods. But Jamie, what do you say about the market? I know not too long ago we talked and discussed that the price per pound was exorbitant. We know what caregivers' prices may go at, but it's like $4,000 a pound in the commercial market, $3,500, $4,500 in some places. What do you think or believe it to be ranged at now?
Well, there's been a kind of a recent sudden dramatic shift in wholesale costs per pound. I don't believe I can adequately explain, the components involved in that. Some people not maybe timing things and having things in a certain particular way and needing to, get it into the market and some other things like that. And in fact, on the I just don't want to try to describe a lot of the things that are going on. I have some ideas, but that is true that happened. The last Smoke and Rope of Brian Basor's show, he talks about it a lot and has some people on there talking with him about it. And just if anybody's interested in that discussion, that can get a little bit more insight into it.
Well,
which way is it moving?
It's going up? Right now. It dropped, and kind of quickly for a lot of people that I hear anyway, unexpectedly, expecting something like this kind of thing to happen, but not maybe as soon as it did. And
First of all, Jamie, people can listen to Ryan Basso's show. He's a good friend of ours. He's been on this show, and I'm still waiting for him to invite me on his show. But indulge us a little bit with some of this information. Let me say this: you raise an important point. There's no question that at some point that 4,000, 5,000, 3,500 is going to drop. We know that, right? And you're saying, this is where it's at right now, happened fast and dramatically. The question is whether this is a bump because of a specific reason, or you've actually gotten to that point. And let me suggest this:
I'm getting there.
a factor that you didn't consider is that the outdoor grow, however many there were that passed testing, influxed the market. There had been a huge shortage, so you had a supply, a void of the mass, and all of a sudden there was more than what was before, and the price significantly dropped. Whether or not it maintains that particular flushness of supply, maybe a thing, maybe not. But
I'm hip. I'm hip. Oftentimes referred to as Croptober. I mean, I know like a lot of the ideas and the angles and how this has come about, and there's no question that this type of a drop was going to happen, but now and so quickly was to many people unexpected. But it got as high as you were saying, $5,000 or whatever, and some people are selling it at $2,200, but it'll go back up. But I believe the shift will be a long-term or permanent reduction of cost per pounds. I don't think they go back up to the really high numbers again now.
No.
Well, what I'm asking, I understand. A good question is this a right? Like, what is it going to stay around here? Is it a bump? And does it return to the 4? Does it return to 3, 2, whatever? And what's going to happen after that? So those things can still be determined, and it's all speculation. But do you have some reasons to believe? I mean, the reasons why it would, we can talk about that. What are the reasons that would impact the market so that the price is reduced? Well, first of all, there's more licenses, or those licensed facilities that were not operating are not producing in masses and have gotten the hang of it. And
that should be expected.
Should be expected. However, there has always been, my takeaway has been a lot of the non-vertically integrated processors, and even some of a lot of the non-vertically retail places were struggling because just to get their hands on material was
so that unless there was a good relationship, a good association with people wanting to work with each other.
Sure.
One of the rare suppliers working with some of the rare stores before, like in our case, before the vertical integration takes place, and without that, it'd be very difficult under certain circumstances.
Right. So and that's been the scenario that's kind of been laid out. In for whatever reason, call it economics, call it lack of cooperation, call it some of the licenses have more power than the other ones, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. But whatever the case
Blame it on the rain.
Whatever the case is, a flush market competition, right, will always defeat that, assuming that people are.
Yeah, and people should expect it's going to go below 2,000.
Sure,
and not in that distant of the future.
Did Jamie thinks? Okay, let's get some answers here, Jim. You're itching to give an answer, but I'm not going to ask it to you yet. Jamie, is the price? Let's say it's 2,200, 2,500 right now. Is it going up? Is it going to go back up? And if so, to where? And how long is it going to stay there?
Yeah. So I mean, you disclaimed already about how they can't avoid being speculation because.
All right,
I can't predict the future, but yes, it goes up. Where it tops off, I don't know, but I don't think it goes back to the big numbers. So I think I mean, when you say, do you think 3 to 4 becomes the high range? Maybe now instead of 4 or 5.
Okay.
It goes back up, but it doesn't make it way back up there because now more and more supply is coming in at the same time. More harvests are taking place. More licenses have been issued.
And you did mention something because there is this other layer, which is that once the market is more flush with volume, there will be a demand, less for just volume, and a demand for some better quality, and there will be a competition for that, and that will still garner the higher prices independent. And that's, I think, the next few stages. But that's kind of that's kind of a fast forwarding through all this. All right, Jamie, it's all speculation. I agree. I appreciate you indulging us with your crystal ball. Let me ask you this. If it does do that, just, knowing, like just having a sense, if you can, I don't know where you get it, but the, how many, the competition, is it maximizing itself right now so that it's going to fight down the price, or do you think that the the various licenses are interacting as efficiently as they can? You know what I mean? In terms of
No, you saying like the people who are vertically integrated will have a distinct advantage?
well, I'm saying that if the price goes back up,
which we know it
what's
will.
going to, and so there's a lot of things that can effectuate how long it stays there or doesn't stay there, right? If more licenses come online and more cities opt in, or more of the bigger places get more, you know what I mean? They already have more licenses. And like all these things are variables that are going to impact the bottom line. They're going to impact it's not organic, but it's, going to impact the price of marijuana because it's going to directly impact supply and demand, right? So, and it is the lack of it's the over control in some capacities, and I'm not blaming the system itself, but it's the control of the local communities. It's the failure to opt in. It's some of the regulations that may or may not be necessary. But working within that 5 license system, there's supply and demand problems. All right. So what do you think is the of those things that I was talking about, or even suggest some other factors to consider? Which of any of those do you see happening? If any, like those variables are going to happen or change. What do you think it's going to be? And even throw in there some compact law clause where we all of a sudden start taking marijuana from Illinois or something.
Well, I think that's going to take a little while, but that we're heading in that direction. If there's not some kind of like push for the ability to do that internationally and nationally at some point, but I don't think that's happening right now, and I don't know if there'll be enough time for the state to get saturated, but that's what it will be, because we're going to be within the state, not able to do that for a little while. And what has happened in every other instance is that after it's been seasoned for a little bit, then there's a period of time where the exact opposite happens, and people need to bring prices way down in order to.
All right. I gotta let Jim talk, and Alan, I know we'll probably, Amanda, I want to get this. But do you think that any of the things, these variables, like more licenses, more cities opting in, more of the existing licenses getting more, do you think any one of those stands out as more likely to happen than others for the year 2021?
Yeah, there'll be more. They'll continue to grow in 2021. There'll be a lot more communities. I don't know. Am I not answering your question properly? I'm sorry.
Well, no, I should have let you finish before I showed my disdain. But go ahead. Just kidding.
I want to hear your disdain.
You didn't separate. You kind of like answered. You answered broadly. I wanted you to be specific. Like I do think or don't think that there'd be more cities opting in. Yes or no?
Do I think there'll be more cities opting in? Yes or no? Is that what you just asked me?
Yes. That's what I asked.
So the answer is yes, and that's exactly what I just said before you just berated me.
I've made a disdain face. That's not berating. Do you think that do you think you'll see the existing companies, the licenses, performing better? You know what I mean? Like, do you think that we've gotten to the point where the market is being filled by people because they're performing better under the regulations and regulatory systems, so they've figured it out, and now have the right number of employees and the overhead's not that, amongst a number of other things. Do you think that is a factor or something that we'll see as we go forward here with more cities opting in? No, it doesn't matter. What do you say?
Am I interpreting this as you're saying, like, will the market get stretched out after a while?
Yeah, I guess. It's yeah.
What do you see? What do you see as the biggest challenges for the this upcoming year? What do you see from the inside? Like how things what the focus should be in order for the growth to continue? Do you think that employees? What do you guys see as far as like trends and stuff, and in the regulated world?
Well, there's there's people in motion right now to come online next year, and there will be more communities that want to participate in this. Some are waiting to see what the places around them or how that gets developing, and as they see those places season and the lack of issues that they may have been concerned about taking place, more are going to come on board. Then there'll be a saturation point, but this whole new world will open up when we can trade internationally and federally and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I don't have any other idea of
It's fine.
exactly it's going to go to.
You've talked more than you ever have on any show. It's fine.
I apologize, and it
No,
was
it's good.
totally useless.
It's good. It was good. It was a bad question before. All right, Jim. What do you think? These are all speculative. Just kind of curious, and give your best argument. You think about how the market's going to play itself out, but you have to say why, because it's a scientific show.
Okay. Well, all we have to do is look at the other states, and we know that in Oregon right now, that high-quality indoor marijuana is $2,400 a pound. We know last year it was $1,800 a pound. So my guess would be that we'll see the market rebound just like Jamie said it will. And it'll probably go just north of 3. And then at some point in the coming months, it will bottom out and it'll probably go below 2. And then it'll recover probably somewhere near $2,400 a pound.
And what is your what do you think would be the cause of that rotation? Is it because of the outdoor, or that?
No, it's the market is maturing. The market is very immature right now. There's a huge issue with supply, and
yeah, but this spike here is a unique factor because it hasn't been that.
Right, and that's why we see what we see. Because I mean, anybody that has ever been through high school knows about supply and demand, and what we've seen is a much higher demand than what could be met with the existing supply. That has changed and the price dropped. That's exactly what should happen.
Okay.
And then we're going to run into the same issue because the outdoor will dry up at some point and it will recover to some point, and then it'll happen again. The market will get flooded either by additional license holders, which is the more probably cause of the next price drop. But the outdoor influx is going to probably have some impact on the market every year, I would say.
You got those two factors. You got like the outdoor coming in, huge. That's a variable that is predictable.
Yeah.
And then it may, but at the same time, while that makes it flush, there could be at the same time a licensed facility that's harvesting after 3-4 months. They got a huge load they're taking down, and they do it like that.
Yeah, but I mean I think we'll still see that variance. I mean,
I agree.
If we look at produce, right?
Sure.
When produce is in season, you're going to pay way less than when it's
True.
not.
True. How much do you think the disparity of outdoor to indoor or greenhouse, is that a good way to describe where it's coming from? Jim, if you can attest to that from any of your adult recreational legal activities.
I really couldn't tell you. I'm pretty disconnected from certainly the growing side of the business, commercial growing. So.
Did you have a preference before it was commercial as to outdoor, indoor?
I mean,
generally speaking, forget strains. If
you want oil, I mean, take outdoor all day because you can get way more of it.
Sure.
It's cheaper and it produces high quality oil. If what you're looking for is more of a craft experience, kind of you want different flavors and those sorts of things, then you're probably going to want to pick up some indoor where it's more controlled. But they both are perfectly good for the purposes that they're meant for.
All right, so the questions that are on the table are currently, like, what do you think the price is going to get at and why? And I want to pose a new one, which is this, adding to this. Can outdoor growing of marijuana, good quality outdoor growing, compete with top shelf indoor grow? Jim, you may have already answered, but.
Can it? I mean, maybe. I don't know. Have I seen it? No. I've never seen with my eyes that it's just not.
Do you know when it's outdoor marijuana that you're smoking?
I would say that whenever we would process any sort of flower material, we'd know where it came from. If you're asking if I, know by the result, then I would be lying if I said I did.
All right.
But I know that there's just different characteristics of outdoor marijuana. For instance, outdoor marijuana, it's not all outdoor grown marijuana, but the buds tend to be a little bit more airy. They're not as compressed, and I understand that has to do with how close the light source is to the plant.
Sometimes they also have dirt on them.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Ellen? Is Ellen Pizer still in the house?
On the complete opposite side.
No, I think you ran off. But I'm not an
And
expert.
people
No, that's fine. Amanda,
closed it off and stuff.
your turn, Amanda. So we asking the two questions are: what do we think the price? And you can even speak from, what you've experienced at the counter from the buyer side, patient side, etc.
Yeah.
And give us some insight, even from that, if the price is going to go down, or if you've seen it going down. But tell us what your thoughts are. Feel free to speculate on the market price, and then I'll ask you about the outdoor indoor. Go ahead.
Well, I do think that it's probably going to get a little bit higher before it levels out and then goes down. I fear that once all the licenses get handed out in 5 years' time, we're going to look similar to Oregon. That's what I worry about, and then the price will go way down. But aside from all of that, and I also, the medical piece of it going away with such a big push for the recreational, and also, I don't know if that was just my inside thought coming out, but that was it. And as far as indoor and outdoor, what would I would like to smoke indoors, what I'd always wanted to smoke. But I do believe that outdoor can be grown and it can be controlled to an extent, and there's a market for each. So, there are some people that say, I don't care. I will take indoor, outdoor. Is it as good? It's definitely comparable. If you go into dispensaries or provisioning centers in other areas out in the west, side of the country, they have a sun-kissed section. So
the old sun-kissed.
The outdoor and the indoor right next door to each other in the same shelf. So there are people, depending on where you live, like, some of the outdoor I have seen in my life, I would never even smoke. But then others that you see, it looks really great. So a lot of it does depend on the source, like what Jim was saying.
Do you?
So those are my answers, Michael.
There may have been a time where it didn't matter if it was indoor or outdoor, and you may not have even known, and you'd be happy.
When I was a teenager, probably.
But not since then? Okay. All right, that's fine. Jamie, what do you say?
When I was a teenager, it was all outdoor. And it came in a brick.
The higher quality cannabis typically would be grown indoors. There's some good cannabis that gets grown outdoors, especially when people's tending to it and working the soil. Some people that do that no-till soil method and are out, have some decent cannabis, but I don't think it compares to the top shelf type stuff at all. The mass that can be created from growing huge plants outside lends itself really well to, concentrates, as I think Jim and Amanda were alluding to. But
are you ruling it out as competing as flour on the shelves of retail places?
It doesn't compete to top shelf, but it's like there's a market for everything, and good usable flour.
Yeah.
Pass all the
There's
standards.
nothing wrong with it.
That is not as expensive is something that many people specifically look for.
Yeah. And for someone that is consuming a shitload of it, is like making concentrates out of it, that's great. I mean, the price of a pound of outdoor in Oregon is $800. So you compare that versus $2,400, which is what you're paying for top shelf indoor wholesale.
They can't get rid of it. It's just sitting there, because they were handing out licenses to anyone who had the money to purchase one. And that's what you get. The market floods because everybody has the dollar sign in their
Jamie, Jamie, what do you say to that? Because that's been a constant discussion. I know what Amanda's saying here because that's the result of it. If you give out too many licenses with unlimited amounts of potential, you have a surplus, which makes there no demand. Because there's too much and the price drops and
It's the
your
market at work.
Right, but this is this is a less controlled market, right? Compared to where Michigan is. Michigan is the opposite right now. And Jamie, I know, and it's a question to be asked in regards to the following. Do we want to have caps on licenses? Or do we want the market to dictate? Because what's going to happen in this, whatever state, Oregon is what we're talking about, it's going to be that the ones that have the deepest pockets and can sustain the drought here will win.
Yep.
And they may not be making any money. They're just putting good money at bad money till everyone else drowns, and they'll buy up that place. I mean, that's what that does.
That's certainly how it's been with plenty of other industries. And I mean, as the market matures,
It's
that will happen.
capitalism at its. I'm not advocating it's total laissez.
There is an opportunity for the state to stop handing out licenses, as I understand it. There could come to a time when the regulator, I guess it would be, Brisboe and company at this point.
Well, that's not something that you've advocated in the past. I've heard you don't advocate like local cities to have.
No, it should be a shall issue. You pay the.
There's been a point where competition and service and quality and price and all that kind of stuff.
Right,
come
but we could see how this could become problematic, right? It's almost like, I know, what is it, Oklahoma? Is that what we talk about? Their system with P15, you can pass the inspection.
Yeah, I dig that. Yeah.
All right, but the point is that the people getting whoever's building and expending and whatever, they know that they're competing against they can produce it in their house or their pole barn or whatever, and that's fine. No one in this market suggests that that's a thing. Maybe now with the micro businesses, but the system's set up for the semi-quasi middle size kind of grow. Not like they're big. There's a lot of big growths, but compared to some other like 3-4 license for the state. So, but there is a point in time where it becomes almost unnecessary. Sometimes you know what I mean. I'm not saying that. Just to avoid. I don't know. Like at some point, there's got to be some kind of restrictions on it. You know what I mean? And it happens in the economy. As we could say, we live in a capitalist society. They sit
Why?
Why?
Yeah. Why?
Well, because the mechanism of requiring the testing and the transport for everybody, and is a built-in expense. Theoretically, that
how do restrictions fix that? Because when you talk about it has to be restricted.
No. What I'm saying is this: I'm saying that one of the, there's several built-in expenses to sell marijuana under the regulatory system.
Yep.
So what I'm saying is, one of the only ways to make that a break-even or profitable is to limit the number of licenses.
Yeah, but that's not the state's place.
I'm not even advocating for that. I'm saying that.
That's exactly what should happen.
I'm saying to you that if we start with this system, it becomes patently unfair. It may not be as few licenses as it is now. In fact, many of the places would be like a lot of the non-vertically integrated need, I think, more growers, more access to material. A lot of the non-integrated processors. Same thing, unless they've got a source, because it's unfair, and that whatever that
it's
price.
Unfair to whom?
It's unfair to the
license holders, the current license holders.
Yes,
because there was some sort of covert contract that the licenses were going to be limited, and now it's quickly looking like it's not going to.
I'm saying what you're seeing is the vertically integrated covertly contract within their own entity, and they sell to the processors. They make oil. They sell it at the retail place.
Terrific.
And then they don't sell it to the processors for a price that would be the normal market price because they control, because of the grow. That's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying to you, those folks benefit from there being more licenses. Okay, but what I'm saying, at some point in time, does it become saturation? That's what we're talking about.
We want saturation.
Okay.
Well, I do. As a consumer, you should want
Right,
that.
I agree. We're talking about two different two different outcomes. Because if you've got a business,
If you got, I
trying to make a
agree. It
business out of
sucks,
it,
man.
Commercial business saturation bad.
Yeah.
Consumer saturation good. Right?
Mhm.
That's what. Jamie, what do you want? You want consumer saturation?
Yeah, well, and at a certain point, those places that have positioned themselves, with the ability to, win out in the tough marketplace, will work with the market on that level of, price and quality and the place where the people have demonstrated that they want to go because of how the branding is all played out and how people have serviced those people who have come in there over the time that it took to get saturated and stuff.
Yeah. And don't be sad. Don't be sad because
I'm not sad,
everybody's still going to make money.
No,
And
I was going to make.
what's going to happen if we reflect back on the .com bust, and I was intricately involved in a business during that whole ordeal, and I can tell you what happened is the smaller organizations were gobbled up by the big boys, and that's exactly what's going to happen here. Is that people are going to establish these businesses, they're going to operate them, and they're going to end up getting absorbed, and they're going to get a huge paycheck as a result of it, and it's all good, man.
And that in some ways, that's the difference between just giving it directly to them, or at least allowing somebody in between to get something established to then.
That's right.
Make something off of the next level. But
I was going to make a joke.
Exactly correct.
I was going to make a joke before about it. When I asked Jamie about the saturation good, and he's like, well, yeah, after a period of time, and I was going to translate to him like, yeah, after we make some money in the industry, I don't mind that it goes, differently, and if I get my money, it's fine. I'm good with that. If it goes that way. Just kidding. That's funny. Is that funny? Come on, that's kind of what you said. But it's fine. He's not denying it. He's not denying it. He's not denying right.
He can't.
I mean, there's no shame in that. It's
I know.
all about, you get into business to make money. That's
Jim,
why you do it.
You looked at it like this.
As
But I'm
Kenny
saying,
Rogers said,
wouldn't
you
know
got
any
to
other
know when to hold them.
That's right.
and know when
Know
to
when
fold
to
it.
fold 'em.
That's right. And Jim, this saturation, to make a visual of it, we're talking about the equivalent of like the alcohol industry, right? Same kind of structure, 3-tier. You got distributors, you got licenses, and in every cooler there's beer that's the same all over, and it's saturated.
Yep.
The price is, it's available for everybody. Price is, no one's making it in their bathtub at home.
Right. Because it would be silly to do that because you can get it cheaper to go just buy it in a bottle.
And there are craft places that people go to get special.
Yeah, right on.
Okay, but
it's cool.
But that's saturated. That's what saturation looks like.
Yep.
And at that point in time, it's not going to be a
saturation.
Its own thing. It's going to be something that's like goes along with your chips and your ice and your gasoline or something. You know what I mean?
More than likely. And people don't like that idea. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that don't like the idea of not dealing with the system that we have now, but I firmly believe that you'll see various different products, even from what we've already seen established within the market, fall out, and that there will be different applications of all those different products. And the people that resell those products will be the ones that are in the industry of those applications. If it's a medical application, it will be resold in a pharmacy. If it's a recreational application, then it'll be resold in a party store or some other form. I mean, and I get it. It's unsettling. It's not what we know, but as the industry matures, it's what's going to happen.
I could see how that happened. I would just, for the sake of argument, say, is it a fair comparison to call it like alcohol? There's obviously if medical goes away, then you're just you're doomed. But the other side is that a lot of the products that are formulated or sold are think about like to go into any gas station you visit, whatever you buy in there.
Yep.
There's like a whole chain of supply chain that feeds the parties, gas station, whatever, and they just sell these products or whatever, and it's all bad for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People trying to get into this network, and I mean, is marijuana fit in there? Is it going to be reduced down to nail?
Of course it is.
Nail polish and toothpaste.
No. It's it'll fit in there, and then you'll be able to go down the road and go to somewhere like Royal Oak, where you can walk into a cigar bar or a hookah bar and enjoy some craft tobacco. And I'm sure that there will be social lounges that will be licensed, and hopefully that program can get to a point where they can sell things like food and actually have a full experience within that environment and consume cannabis at the same time. I think all of that is going to happen. It's going
Here's
to
a good question. Which will come first, the saturation and evolution into this way we're kind of speaking about it, or the acceptance of it as a, the acceptance of it not being a taboo of the smoking? You know what I mean? I still think we're suffering culturally from the, like the visual.
I think we actually make it a bigger problem than it is.
Me? I don't. I'm saying like in the world out there, like people don't. It's not as.
No, I mean
like with the ease by which you see someone take a drink of alcohol everywhere.
Yep.
So, like I'm saying, like the getting over that stigma. Which is that going to happen? Are we going to get somewhere towards? You know what I'm saying? Like we're actually
where you'll be able to smoke it in public. I don't know, and I'll tell you why I say I don't know. If it's becoming,
or how about accommodating for it? You go to a concert, there's an accommodating place you can go and fucking smoke.
I think that's much more likely.
Okay.
But I think that based on the public's perspective, just on smoking in general, I mean, when I was a kid, when we were kids, right? We could smoke in restaurants. And anywhere you wanted, you could smoke in the hospital. I mean, come on. Yeah, exactly.
Airplane.
I think I've smoked on a plane before.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Cigarettes.
And not a chance in hell now. You would go to jail. And I think that we're going to fight that same battle with marijuana, that people just don't want to be exposed to it. And I mean, in all fairness, there was a post on one of the mail lists that we're all part of regarding this situation. It was like this Dear Anne letter about this wife and her husband who is smoking marijuana at home and makes the home smell like weed. And he's been at home constantly because of the pandemic, and it's become a major issue. And there was differing opinions on who is in the right and who is in the wrong, but I strongly believe that at the end of the day, people that don't want to be exposed to it, they have a right not to be exposed to it, and we should be respectful of that.
Right, for sure. I mean, but that's also driven by the idea that it's still taboo, and the user themselves has to be the.
But would you say tobacco is taboo then?
How about alcohol?
Well,
Because that's really the answer.
Well,
Because-
because alcohol, someone can drink it and it doesn't impact you.
Oh, really?
I mean,
A
maybe
drunk
it's,
person near me impacts me.
Yeah, you're
All
right. Okay,
And I was going to say,
but it doesn't.
tobacco's bad. Alcohol's bad for you. You can't see, and
I
the
know.
stigma is the idea of the smoking of
I know.
marijuana. I wanted to start arguing about what's his face, Dr. Taskin. The guy that said he spent his whole life working for the federal DEA to study lung cancer to prove that marijuana caused damage to lungs, and he couldn't do it.
No, I know. I get all that. But if you are, I mean, let's go back to the '80s when you could smoke in a restaurant.
No, I know. I
And
hear you.
are you cool in 2020 with someone doing that next to your family? And
No, I wouldn't.
No. I'm just saying.
They have to have a designated place.
Yeah, or you're right. You're not gonna drop into the world that's now accepted no smoking.
Right.
And make
Exactly.
it acceptable. But I'm
Yeah.
saying there are some evolutions that must come out of the legalization of marijuana. You know what I mean?
A lot of
And-
people still just don't like the smell.
and the slowness by which it will take us to get to this is based on stigmatization of the smoking being bad for you. That's number one.
Yep.
There may be a smell, but that's
part
who
of it.
cares?
That's
You'd be at a
part of it.
concert anyways and someone's smoking marijuana, you smell it. You know what I mean? Like think of how the public play football games.
Yeah, but
whatever.
I mean, people get crazy about these overwhelming perfumes and stuff now. I mean, it's where's that line?
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. Where's the line, Jim?
And at the end of the day, I mean, what do we always say?
You know
It's
what?
like,
You know what? I
just
could
try
create-
not to be a dick.
I feel like I could.
Michael will create the line.
No, I feel like I could create engineer some kind of product that stops this publicly. Like it kind of captures it and sprays it up. You know what I mean? Something
But
like
why not just vaporize? That's what I don't get. And that was kind of the back to that message on that mail list. There's so many other things that husband could have done after being told by his wife that, hey, I'd really appreciate it if you don't smoke in the house with the kids. He could have done 100 different, not 100, but there's a dozen different things that he could have done.
So what was the issue with the kids? Let's talk about this. I'm interested in.
The wife
dynamic.
just took issue with it, and I'm not here to judge.
So without judgment, just tell the facts. So the husband, they get a fight. She writes a letter.
She
He's
writes
smoking
this
in
letter.
the house. He's home more.
Yeah,
there's
the
more
kids
smoke.
are here
How's
for
the kids?
school. They're school age, so single digits.
All right. And
she wishes that he would not smoke in the house.
the question. Okay, so the person wrote the response back, right? Okay.
And of course, the response was not kind
Okay.
to us.
All right.
It was.
Was it indicated that kids know or are aware of it?
Oh, yeah,
And
for sure.
And they'd say things and stuff.
Yeah, it was clear that everybody knew what was going on. Which, again, I don't think there's any judgment that I'm going to make.
And let me ask you a
there.
question. Let me ask you a question though. Here's the most important question to me.
Yeah.
Was there some negative behavior that was associated with the marijuana use, or was it just the smell?
No. It was the only thing she was citing was the exposure to the smell and the smoke by her. And,
All right, that's an interesting factor because I think that it says a lot in the sense that it's the smell that's the bother.
Yeah.
The smoking of it, no issue, right? It's just that when you consume it by smoking,
Right.
it causes a bad smell. That should not lend itself to that. I mean, I get the smell. People have a problem with it, yes or no. But that entire idea that just because it smells bad is listen, if it was mint or what do you call it, like curry. You ever walk in a kitchen where there's a lot of curry or something like that? I mean, I'm just saying, like, there's all these.
Yeah, but I'll give you a perfect example, right? Like, there's certain types of incense that I don't really care for when they're burnt, and it bothers me.
Silly. Okay.
And if I ask my wife, hey, can you not burn that? Because it really bothers me. And if she did it again, I would be pissed. I mean, be like, hey, I asked you nicely. What the hell? This is no different.
I would like to think that there's so many. I mean, there's a lot of ways to avoid. It depends on the layout. Not everyone's got a lot of space in a house or whatever. There's not a lot of place you go. But, you like to think that there's the bathroom or something.
The bathroom, the garage,
Right, okay, so I'm saying there's a way to avoid that confrontation.
A filter.
Now, I do think, and I'm interested in this topic about,
Open
how
a
do we
fucking window.
How do we go about this in the future with our children, parents?
Oh, that's a
have
huge
kids.
problem.
And I'm saying to you, like the position taken, that because it smelled, the kids should be appalled because there's the smell of marijuana and nobody likes it. The kids should be appalled, and the kids know that it's going on. Well, first of all, that's if there's no aberrant behavior. You know what I mean? It's just the smell of something. So that is an important factor, and I think needs further discussion about. Listen, I'm not suggesting you do it in front of them because you wouldn't want to smoke cigarettes in front of your kid. You should. I don't know. It still goes on. People do. I'm sure, but that's kind of the idea, right?
Well, at the end of the day.
Wait,
well, no.
wait.
It is.
Which is worse? Which is worse? The smoking of a cigarette.
The cigarettes.
But what if you're?
But you know what?
Would she have cared if it was cigarettes?
I don't know. Maybe I would. I would.
Well, you're not her, and you wouldn't have cared if it's marijuana. You see what I'm saying?
But you know what? That's the point.
As which some people don't.
But we should, as Americans, we should be allowed to make those choices about ourselves and our family and what we're exposed to. And
all right. So, what the dispute between the husband and wife on this topic, which cannot be resolved, I'm saying is not.
It's a huge problem.
I'm saying in trying to fix this problem, I say like it's a very slanted.
It
premise.
Is, but there's.
And I'm saying that the focus on this is so outrageous that the smell of something, it's the idea of punishing someone for having something in their blood,
Yes.
without bad behavior. You know what I mean?
For sure. But
and I realize the smell, but I'm saying there's so many other solutions of how to get around that. You know what I mean?
But it's in his best interest to do something proactively to just neutralize the situation, and that's where I see people respond to situations like this, and they get very passionate, and for good reason. But what you do is you look 6, 7, 8 steps down the road, and you say, "Well, what is this woman preparing for?" And I don't know what your feelings are about family court here in Michigan, Michael, but she walks into family court and says, "Hey, my husband is smoking weed in the house when the kids are there. It's probably not going to bode well for him when they go for custody. It's not going to help him."
She's there to get a divorce, if that's where this is going. I'm saying this. This issue should not lend itself to this. And if it does, it's because we are still in a prehistoric, unevolved mentality about marijuana.
Of course we are.
Which is all still based upon lies, as always has been lies. It's not the truth, and it's problematic all the way around. Now, with all that being said, the idea that marijuana is being smoked in a house where children are, and another one's complaining about it without identifiable problematic. I mean, it's the same thing if someone's drinking. They don't take kids away from parents because they drink.
No, they don't.
But
it's the same fucking thing. You go into court during a divorce and start talking about how they're drinking in the house with the kids all the time, and then they have interviews with the kids. Oh yeah, Daddy's drinking every night.
Family court is terrible.
It'd be such
no
a
matter
shit
what.
show.
And you put any little thing, and they're gonna, that's when they get kind of vicious and stuff. I don't know.
Guardian ad litem comes out of nowhere.
I
Now
think.
you're fucked.
Well, hold on. I think that. I think, all of the, all if not most of the agencies that monitor these things, and I would throw agencies such as the Friend of the Court and Child Protective Services, and those that would be involved in parenting and, plans to get taking them away, or even during divorces when they're decided in front of the court referrals and things like that. Pretty much across the board, there's been virtually no change of their view of marijuana, legal, medical, or otherwise. And I would say that even as a secularly driven, I know in some parts of the state where they have, obviously faith-based facilities that are handling the child protective services, they as a religious proclamation, they refuse medical, legal, or anything, and it's against the religion. So they're going to take the kids for and all this is obviously patently wrong. The law's been written to the extent on this state law, even though a lot of these agencies don't follow state law, they follow God's law. But the state law says that, as we discussed, that like alcohol, the drinking of it alone the consumption of it alone does not lend itself to.
Yeah.
It's got to be something. You got to have a controlled substance problem. That's something beyond just the ingestion of it. You know what I mean? And medical is, was always.
But those
acceptable.
guidelines don't apply to the court.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I do, and it's one of the problems. I think it's the same for a lot of the agencies that give out licenses for nurses, for lawyers, for doctors. None of them are recognizing medical marijuana, and I'm sure they're still, when it comes into play for review of the licenses, they're not looking at it like alcohol. They're actually looking at it like a Schedule 1 controlled substance.
Yeah.
So it's one of the other ongoing problems of the social justice.
If I can say something,
please,
in Illinois, the medical marijuana program in Illinois, they make you submit medical records to the state, like your private medical records to the state. Doesn't that seem odd to you?
In order to get certified?
Yep. Like like how I would have to send in my
the application. Right.
But that's aside from that, they have to include the medical record too.
Like from the experience of the certification day?
Not the physician certification, like the supporting documentation.
Okay, interesting. What if there is none?
Yeah. Then there's SOL. They have to get a diagnosis. That's the process. So.
Will they accept a diagnosis from that doctor? If you come back another time.
It has to be. From what I can see so far, it has to be different doctors.
Well, that's interesting because
Which is.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead because I think you got.
Well, I was going to say I think it's as we're talking about the comparison of Oregon's market and Michigan's market, the price factors, you can look at those two systems as Michigan be a little bit more controlled, you know, and it may take a little bit more time before more licenses, price goes way down, we have too much on the shelves.
Sure.
But Oregon was the opposite of that, you know, much more unlimited and giving out license to everybody. So that's, you know, it's a reality. It'll happen, but there's certainly control. All right. Now, with that being said,
but that control can't last. It just can't. Because what's the whole point with this program? When you look at the root of it, what's the point? The point is to eliminate the black market. That's the whole point. And in order to do that, you got to bring the price down. How do you bring the price down? You license more people. You increase the supply. That's how you do it.
Agreed. So,
I think we better take a break.
We're going to take a break? All right, we got to take a quick break, come back and do a couple final thoughts, maybe wrap it up. Where'd Steve go? Steve still around?
He's around.
All right, you listen to Planet Green Trees, episode 495. Yeah. We'll be right back.
The Planet Green Trees Show.
Join the Michigan Medical Marijuana Association today. MichiganMedicalMarijuana.org. The MMMA is focused on the well-being and safety of medical marijuana patients. The MMMA site provides the most comprehensive and up-to-date news on legal issues, politics, research, cultivation, as well as the various strange products and methods of cannabis use. Come join the discussion with the most knowledgeable and passionate advocates in Michigan today. MichiganMedicalMarijuana.org.
Hey everyone, it's Amanda Jocelyn from the Planet Green Trees, and I'm here with the Amanda Report. We're going to be discussing a little bit about edibles and dosage. And if you're a new patient, it's always nice to get an understanding of how much to take, because they taste delicious, and sometimes it's very difficult to tell how much medicine you're getting, because it doesn't taste like medicine. It tastes like candy or brownies or lozenges, lollipops. We see all kinds of different sour gummy bears and things like that. A lot of different choices when it comes to edibles. In addition to those things, you can also dive into the area of Rick Simpson oil, or RSO as it's commonly known. One of the important things to remember is that edible dosage is going to vary greatly based upon the individual user. People may be in a line and each of them are given a 100 milligram gummy bear, and if each of them eat it, they're all going to have very different experiences based upon their metabolism, based on medications that they're currently taking, based on their own just hormones. When we're talking about dosing, it's really important to consider all factors. If you're new to cannabis, your tolerance hasn't really built up that much, then you're going to want to take a low dosage and work your way up. Edibles take approximately 35, 45, sometimes an hour to kick in. So don't be fooled and eat a corner of an edible and think that it's not going to work and then just eat the rest of it, because you might wake up and it's going to be 2 days from now. And unless you are really looking for a good sleep, maybe you don't want to sleep for 2 days. So the good news, no one has ever died from the use of cannabis in the documented history. Edible is a great option to go with, and there are all different types. A basic dosage starts out at maybe 15 milligrams, and to treat chronic conditions, we go up to 100 milligrams and over. The effectiveness of this will be 4 to 6 hours, as opposed to when you're consuming and smoking it, and in that way, it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours before you redose. And thank you guys for watching the Amanda Report. I'm going to go ahead and sign out now. It's sponsored by Camoran Law, and you can see us on Planet Green Trees. Thank you guys, and back to you. Amanda Jocelyn with the Amanda Report, sponsored by Camoran Law and aired on Planet Green Trees. So overall, our experience with Sticky was amazing. The customer service was there, the affordability, the product selection, the location of the place, and overall location feel. So the Amanda Report will give Sticky Ipsy a 9.7. Out of 10. So again, if you're in the area in Ypsilanti, stop by and check them out. You won't be sorry. And folks, this is Amanda Jocelyn with the Amanda Report signing out. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
An important and historical farm crop in American agriculture is returned after having been classified as a controlled substance and illegal. On December 20th, 2018, the President signed the Farm Bill, also known as the Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018, into law. The signing of the act was great news for the hemp industry, which amended the definition of marijuana in the Federal Controlled Substances Act. Hemp is now defined as the plant, Cannabis sativa L, and any part of the plant, growing or not, with less than 0.3% THC concentration on a dry basis. The plant itself is no longer a controlled substance. Hemp is one of the most versatile plants on earth. From clothing, fiber, paper, building materials, hempcrete, biofuels, CBD, and medical uses, it has been a part of America's industry for over 200 years. Even the United States Constitution was drafted on hemp paper. The time is now. If you're thinking of getting in the farming or processing of hemp, contact our global experts, legal, and consultation teams to make sure that you're on the right road when you venture into the new hemp industrial revolution. Michigan Hemp Industries has been a leader and advocate for the return of the hemp industry, so come be a part of the new revolution in agriculture in Michigan.
This is Amanda Jocelyn with Elevation Station, and you're watching Planet Green Trees TV.
Album just called it Dirty Dan song.
Just dropped it.
Because it's what it is. Dirty Dan, Dirty Dan.
Dirty
Dan. It is Dirty Dan, Dirty Dan.
Dirty
What
Dan.
it is, Dirty Dan.
Oh my.
Dirty Dan,
Oh
'cause
my
it is
Dan.
What it is, Dirty Dan.
All right.
So
It's gonna be on the album Dirty Dan songs.
we are on, and I can't believe 2020 is over.
I know.
I mean, as much of a shit show as it was, it feels like it just flew on by.
To end it with a new version of a Dirty Dan
No,
song.
no.
Yeah, but you know,
we got some quality. Come on.
we were
Let's
talking.
go sing off on that.
We were
That's fine.
talking to someone last night.
Please.
And I won't mention who it is.
Name 'em.
No, I'm not going to,
Please.
just because I don't want to expose people's politics unless they want them exposed. But he said with the whole Trump versus Biden that we got a choice between a clown and evil, and at least we knew what evil was.
Here's a better question. Here, I have a good question. I have a good question about politics that we could all discuss and debate. I think it's fair to say, without any kind of party affiliation, but in light of the, because it's an interesting question in terms of leadership, and obviously you're dealing with purportedly representatives from all walks of life across the state, across the country, on the the COVID relief bill. Okay, I'm saying over $600 or $2,000. But these are some of the topics that have been debated just along the way. I mean, forget. I'm just saying, but it's an interesting. So, I just want to be clear. There was an ongoing debate about whether or not there would be immunity for employers from lawsuits that may arise for having people come back to work, or lose your job or come back to work. Right, that could be a thing that they would do, and them getting sick and not being able to sue. That was a contested issue relative to the entirety of the.
It was a big piece of it.
Okay, I don't know where it landed. I'm not sure, but I'm curious to know. Do you think that do you think it's in everyone's best interest, country-wise? I mean, because we got a lot of variables. We got corporate interests. We've got owners of companies, and the people that work for people. You got small business owners. You've got, all different however you break down the economy of things, there's obviously whatever the answer is, somewhat to some degree reflects your, belief in where the how the economy grows. If it's trickle down, is it, middle class growth, or whatever it may be. But my question is, in light of whatever your philosophy is, do you think it's a good idea to create the need to have the liability would suggest that there's a threat of it, right? So
there absolutely is a threat.
And the question is this a way for us to bounce out of our? This is really loaded. I would say this way. It sounds loaded. Is this the way we want to bounce out of our economy by making business owners liable for damages for?
If they're negligent, yeah.
Okay.
It's just like anything else.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by
What
negligent?
I mean is that people should not.
Give me a situation where.
Simple. They're not disinfecting their premises according to the guidelines set by the health department. They choose not to do so, and someone gets sick as a direct result of it. Are they negligent?
How do you prove it?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay,
That's
but do you
not
understand? Okay, do you understand like the. I mean, I'm saying from this, like the idea of. I mean, I can understand if someone transmits a sexual disease. I don't even know if those are actionable. But I'm saying some kind of known. But here we're in such a, it's not as easily to establish, number one. And you got all kinds of variables that would go into that.
It should be treated.
And obviously, because there's the theory in law, which is the eggshell skull theory, which is you take the victim as you find him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, if maybe it pushes someone and they fall down, they hurt their knee, another person falls down and crack their head open. For liability damages, there's statutes that, but from common law, the idea was that you take the victim as you find them. If they have, you got to pay for it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
And I mean and these companies should, if they're
what are they doing though? What would someone have to do? Just be neglectful in terms of having a policy, not taking thermometers?
Just
I mean,
being negligent. I mean,
first of all, let me say this to you. Do you know, just as a matter of course, just this idea, shouldn't it be that every single airline that's open and running right now, which is like the
it's ridiculous. I can't believe they're cramming people in those planes.
quote unquote super spreader planes going from
worst thing.
city to city,
Oh, it's
launching
crazy.
people and getting back on and spreading it.
Some of the craziest.
I just want to know, how would that not be a loss?
I
to
get
me,
sick when I fly when it wasn't COVID time.
that
It's
to
horrible.
me, and I get that people want to go. People have gone and they've come back and not been sick, but
Yeah.
if you're buying into this lockdown and it's rampant and and you're doing this is like the opposite of what
I know.
that would be in terms of. But my point is that can we? Would that not be a lawsuit in your situation?
I mean,
If one person got sick,
sure,
they brought
I think-
it back.
I think
what if
I
they
think
brought
it
it
could
back?
be.
What if they brought it back and gave it to their kid that went to school and gave it to the teacher and the teacher died? And the teacher died.
I think that you have.
Where does the causation end?
It's a strict liability issue now.
Yeah.
It is. If the entity is negligent, then they should be held liable. Period.
I'm saying the causation of when you get down the line like that.
No, you can't do
The
that.
spread of it.
No, I'm not.
Well, the spread of it.
But if
Why isn't there personal liability then? What if I go into a restaurant?
Yeah.
What if I go to a restaurant?
Yeah, if you know
Is there a restaurant
you're sick and you go to a restaurant and someone else gets sick and dies, you should be held personally liable. Period. Period.
Nobody,
And by no you're sick.
listen, I'm not
you've
minimizing.
had a COVID-19 test and you've
Interesting.
tested positive and you've been told not to go. It's happened over and over again.
I mean, we know people who have told stories of, and then the person that said she wasn't feeling that good and taken a test earlier that day, spent the afternoon with her, she told me she's fine, then called me the next day and said she got a result. Why'd you get the results? You took them the day before and then came and saw me, and, that's a man I'm talking about. But anyways, and that's like nobody's doing that.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, first of all, Jim has got
Is that not negligent?
Listen, I don't know. Listen, I would, if everyone's taking care of their own business, we don't have to worry about this. But I think putting the responsibility on
On the businesses? To do
no. I'm saying this. Like, to really make a person responsible at the business. I mean, think about the things that could happen that could have nothing to do with the business owner. For example, you could be operating in some kind of rotation and they're coming in and you've limited people's space, whatever. However, someone leaves because you don't control where they go. Someone leaves, goes home, goes to a place where they're not found. They come back. They're carrying it. They don't know. They feel fine. They come in. They test them. No symptoms here. Bam. So how does that?
There was no negligence.
There's
no negligence.
But they're at work. How are you going to prove that they're at work where they got it?
They
But
not
for
only have
work.
to prove that, but they
Listen.
have to prove that they were negligent, and
I don't
just
know.
shield anybody, to just shield them from any liability.
All right.
It gives them the pass to do whatever the hell they want.
It's interesting. I wonder if this is a Republican, like how this plays out, the Republican Democrat. I mean, obviously the Democrats want to be able to
I think
have some
that-
liability. My thing is this. Listen, I am not suggesting there's some standards of safety. Period. You know what I mean? I don't think anyone should be forced to go back to work if they don't.
They're
and
not. There is no slavery in this country. They are
No,
not
I'm
being
saying-
forced to go back to work.
I'm not saying. I'm saying if you don't come back and work here under these circumstances, you lose your job and you may be subject to.
That's the market, unfortunately.
Okay, so I'm not. I don't even know that I'm in favor of that. Okay, but I would say this. People should have a choice. If they can work from home, if they don't want to. You know what I mean? If it's doable or manageable to some degree. And I know that.
I think that's what the health department's order is right now.
To the extent that everyone's all right. But anyways, there's a lot of factors that go into it. I'm just saying, listen, do we, without an honest, true tracking system, which I don't think we have, I don't think you can put blame on it. And even if the government came up with some tracking system, think how easily they could use that to criminalize it.
But
do you see my problem is that you turn health into a crime. In a way, it's a bad. I think it's a slippery
It's
slope.
just like anything else.
Listen,
if there
we're
was
talking about personal responsibility. do we need the government criminalizing it? Is a question. Subjecting people to jail.
This isn't criminal. That's not what we're talking
All right,
about. We're
fine,
talking about
fine,
civil liability.
All right, civil liability.
And if you
which
cause
means-
me harm because you are, especially if you're grossly negligent and you decide
All
not
right.
to do something
So
that you know.
what individuals are, you know what? Okay, so individuals may not because there's no pockets to sue. You know, I don't know. I mean, it's. Listen, I mean, I worry that. I mean, what business that? Let's say it's I don't know, corporation that's. You know, expect people to work hard. They get corporate thing. You got to bust your ass and whatever. And you know, there's no all kinds of pressure and shit. You know, some people are getting promotions, some aren't. You know what I mean? And I mean, this could happen. You know, just like if they're saying you can a lawsuit exists to do this, you've got thousands and thousands of potential lawsuits just because.
But it exists now. It's existed since March. Nothing has changed. Are there lawsuits? I
don't know.
I've heard of none. And this was actually a topic that I was debating with Jeff Irwin, and he actually set me straight because I had the exact same opinion, which was the businesses need to be protected. This is uncharted territory.
Listen, I would say this. There's a lot of different factors that go on here because you know, there are places that you have to have people that come back, you know, and I think there's a fine line if the person is an at-will employee, just cause employee. There's a factor, you know, where they're either contracted or they can fire them for any reason, right? This is the reality of life.
It's not a fine line. They're at will. This is Michigan.
Some people sign contracts.
Sure. I mean,
at certain levels, right? Some people sign like they expect to be kind of some kind of cause of fire. You were saying, okay, as opposed to so, but either way, the ability to fire someone because they don't come to work because people are coming back and they don't want to come, and they don't want to come because of the concerns that they have for catching the virus. Whether they have standards in place or not, should not. Whose fault is that?
Well, so let's play that out. So you have an employee, your business needs them on site. The employee doesn't feel comfortable coming back to work. Okay, so what happens? What next? I mean, there's multiple things that could happen. You could either A, continue to pay the employee like they're coming to work. You could B, put the employee on some sort of leave and tell them that their job is there for them when they are comfortable. Or you could C, you could terminate them. So which one is it?
I'd even put in there D, try to make arrangements for their employee to work in a capacity from home.
But what if they can't?
Okay, that's obviously. I'm just saying it's
because
an option.
I would say that.
Okay,
I mean,
there's a lot of things you can try.
I guess
that would be one of before you, but does an employer have to do that?
What, make a determination?
Does they have to run through that list? They can say, "Fuck it, I'm here every day. Fuck you, get your ass here too every day."
Well, that's what they can say, but again, the employee doesn't have to. I mean, if they want to keep their job, they're probably going to have to.
That's what I'm saying. What's the rule? Who makes the rules at the employee? And you know, like I'm saying,
it's at will.
Of course, and at some point there's got to be fairness, reasonableness. You know, people.
There does.
Well, I'm saying.
And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be, because there absolutely
I'm
should
saying
be.
there's a contract that's entered into to some degree, whether it's written, even if it's at will. I'm saying there's some kind of contemplated contract. The employer's allowed to have rules and regulations that they notify them of, and they expect the employer to work on it. I don't know. I've never worked at a place that didn't have some kind of shit like that.
Right, but
you know,
I mean, most of these places say that, you know, unless that the only potential gotcha would be that you were violating some sort of law, and I think that's why you know, organizations have to review the orders that have been executed by the health department and determine how they apply to them.
Can you agree with me that even if there's a below standard protocol at an employment, let's say they're doing, you know, there's a number of people and they got 5 more than they're allowed to have, and somebody gets it there, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
it would be a technical yeah.
No, it's not. But does that worthy of a lawsuit? And that person dies and gives it to their elderly cousin, and they die. I mean, that's the kind of that's what I'm afraid of. You see what I'm saying? There's so many scenarios. But
what's being proposed here is the exact opposite, where we're just like, oh no, we're just going to shield you completely.
I'm not saying that. I say, and my point would be this: like, you know, there's a like for places to be open, there's a OSHA or whatever
Yeah.
protocol or whatever, the MDHSS, right? MDHSS. So if you don't have the temperature, you don't have the
But if you're
alcohol, some kind of mask system safe, then you shouldn't be
operating.
right, or at least give the opportunity.
But
for
if you're operating in good faith, then I agree. If you are operating in good faith,
Right, like the
you
point-
should
the
be protected.
Right. The point is that I don't know. I could certainly see places where even the most relaxed person about this, who's not not over the edge either way, just to be safe, may take issue with their employer's masking. You know what I mean?
Sure, but there is a mechanism for them to deal with that, and it has nothing to do with suing them. They can file it if they want to call MyOSHA. They can do that, and MyOSHA will come in and they'll do what they do.
But then if someone gets sick, you know what I mean?
Then if someone gets sick, MyOSHA's been there. Now you've got a negligence issue, especially if MyOSHA finds some shit. But that's how it is, man. It's the same way with food services companies when you have
I wanna be clear.
outbreaks of things like
I wanna be clear.
hepatitis B.
I want to be clear.
I mean,
no, I hear you, and there has to be some standards. I mean, unfortunately, there's got to be some standards of some kind. This is more of a health issue that doesn't normally find its way into some employments, right? You got like yes, obviously restaurants and blah blah. There's health department oversight and whatnot, but
what people don't realize is the health department's oversight extends to most businesses.
But listen, I get that. But I think, as a matter of course, wherever you're working, there's a duty of the employer to, at a minimum, make a safe environment. That goes without saying.
Yeah.
It's like getting a seat, to have a. I mean, I would almost parallel it to something like a certificate of occupancy, in that it's not a big deal to get one, but you have to at least ensure that those coming onto the premises, that the place is habitable, or it's not dangerous. It can be used without danger. I think that's a fair standard. You know what I'm saying? And but in all of that, there's a shit ton of assumption of risk, because even though I made it habitable, you may come in and trip over your own 2 feet and break it. It's not or we were moving that day. We had a big sign that said "Be careful, water," and you walk through. You know what I'm saying? That's all premises liability shit, which is what we're really talking about. Because you're at work. See what I'm saying? Because you're at work and they've got a pocket to get into. I don't know. It's a complicated. And I was saying, the problem is, I mean, unless you're locking the people down themselves, how can you prove that they got it there? You got to have the most violative.
But that's the point. That's why it should be if the company is acting
Even
in
if they're doing
good faith to follow the rules.
Right, but even if they're not, even if they're semi-good faith. I'm just not saying I'm inviting that.
If they're not following,
but how could even if they're doing bad, let's say it's bad. Let's say it's 40% in terms of the rules. Doesn't mean that they got it there.
Well, then you know what? That'll get fought in court.
Well, but
And
you
we'll
would
see.
agree.
We'll
How
see
do you
what the
prove they got it there? How do you prove they
See,
got it there?
I don't have.
I went nowhere else.
I don't have to figure that out. That's for a jury. The jury will figure it out.
I don't know if I want that to be a jury question. I mean, maybe a legal question. I'm just saying it's and I say that I don't want to sound like I'm not for the worker. I mean, I can't imagine a situation that would be so terrible. And I obviously had people that work it. I'm even, other than the way that I torture them, when they're here. Just kidding. Steve, don't laugh so much. Just kidding.
We're on field trips.
No, but I'm saying, Alan, you're back. Alan, you missed some good conversation.
Hey, Alan.
You'll have to watch it on rerun. We were talking about outdoor growing versus indoor growing and the state of the market, but you weren't here for that. And it's too bad because the outdoor growing. All right, but listen, here, get in on this stuff, whatever we're talking about right here. One of the things, politically speaking, that I saw being debated in the COVID relief bill was this recurring issue of whether or not businesses should be liable, employers should be liable for damages related to people getting COVID at work. What do you think about that?
Wow, is all I could say.
Me too.
Can you imagine the courts getting, first of all, every business owner into court, the unlimited amount of shit that would happen. Every business owner is trying to get out of the debt that they're in. They're in court fighting these cases. To me, I saw it as the solution to our economic problems will be all the people that are losing their jobs and getting sick of the work. They can sue their employer, bust them up, get some money, and the economy will get better.
Sue
you know what I mean?
Sue them for what?
I don't know, for getting sick and taking days off work. I don't know, giving it to your grandma who died. I mean, it's endless. Ellen, you may be laughing at what I'm.
What's the solution then?
What? Where? Why do
I
we
just
need
think
a
we're going-
solution? I don't know. Are there? Where are
Tell
these
me another
lawsuits?
Tell me another
Where
situation.
are they?
Okay, fine. You're right. It's a
I think the
fantasy.
solution is that they shouldn't be liable for ordinary negligence if their
Gotta be-
conduct is intentional
Yeah,
or willful
more than
or
reckless.
wanton.
Yeah.
Right.
Gee, that
Gross
sounds
negligence,
familiar.
then
Well,
they
I'm saying
should
it's
be
like there should be like an immunity. And it can be.
if you're acting in good faith, all
no,
is
good
well.
faith. No, there's like a presumption of immunity unless it's so outrageous.
No.
It can be clearly established.
No,
yeah, it's got to be something.
It's
like that.
intent, just like.
Why would anyone hire
just like
anyone
Alan
anymore?
said.
Why would you subject yourself to that? Say you're gonna fucking sign an agreement here not to sue me. You know
Yeah,
what
I mean, maybe you have to. I don't know.
I'm like, what the fuck?
I just
You've
think you gotta
created,
make sure that
you've created like
you gotta
like,
make sure
I don't know,
it has teeth or else they're gonna pack
what's the number
people
of people on the workforce? Take that number as a group of potential plaintiffs now.
Yeah.
Right, Alan? Is that what we're saying? That's what the lawyers
It's
would
good
say.
for you, though, right?
And I'm saying, yeah, I'm not, but I'm saying it's. I think we're going down a slippery slope when we start. I don't know.
But we agree that if let's start with the
There are
baseline
lawsuits.
of gross negligence, like Alan has offered. We agree if there's gross negligence involved, someone's got to pay, right?
Alan, there are other cases that we know of in the law
Is that a
have-
no?
He said yes.
Okay.
The result.
Gross
I don't gross. I'd call it. Like. I'd call it. I'd almost say it's got to be malice of forethought. How about that?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I'm going with malice of forethought.
Yeah.
All right.
Intentionally inflicting people with COVID. Really, that's the line.
I might be biased as an employer. I realize that maybe.
Well.
But because
with your
you know why?
guilt,
You know why?
yes.
You know why? I tell you why. Because I take pride in employing people.
Yeah.
Even through this shit. You know what I mean? And.
We've toughed it out.
We've toughed it out, and I hope it doesn't.
We've stayed
I hope it doesn't
healthy.
fall apart.
We've
You know what I
stayed
mean?
Healthy.
Yeah, but you wouldn't make someone that was sick come to
I,
work.
of course I wouldn't.
Hell no.
All right, so listen, wait. So the other.
That's my point. If you
No
don't,
way.
if you don't give these
And you
shits
know
some
what?
teeth, that's what
maybe
starts
that's
happening.
Not a bad policy to have. We have lived for a long time where you got to tough it out, come into work.
Right.
How many people have you worked with sniffle,
No, go
snorting,
home.
snorting,
All right, listen.
coughing,
All right, fine. Listen.
snorting,
Here's
and
another topic. I
spreading
heard.
everywhere. Maybe it's a good time that we take measures to back off that kind of crap. Stay home when you're sick.
All right, here we go. We're going back
It's a
to
good
this
way
one.
to be.
Jamie, did you get an opinion on that? And Amanda, I'm sorry. I'm curious to hear you guys from your. Don't let the lawyers.
Guilt.
It would be an HR mayor. I would hate to have a bunch of employees that would be able to sue me for getting sick at the workplace. That would be a nightmare.
Right, well, like if they're out all night drinking, doing blow, fucking coming in hungover, their immunity system's fucking in the toilet. They're more subjected to this, and you got a shitty setup that day. You've all your alcohol, hand sanitizers, in the toilet. Jamie, what do you say?
You're muted, buddy.
Muted.
Mutolo.
Okay, it happens a couple times to show. We had somebody who was infected at the East Tower store, and follow protocol there. People are wearing masks. People are distanced. There's constantly cleaning shit up and wiping shit down, and nobody else got infected.
Right, but let's say someone did get infected. You say, okay, you're in the security. You security, put on a fucking mask and some gloves and your hazmat suit and get in there and clean that shit up.
Right.
You're in charge of spraying shit now.
Go clean that shit up.
And now they get it. Should they be able to sue Botanical?
Well, so I don't know if the person would be able to demonstrate conclusively that that's where the virus was contracted. Especially,
I mean, okay, so we all agree with that, and assuming that they got to prove something, you can see that being an
They got
impossibility.
the proof. They got it.
Whatever. I don't
We're
know if you
just
can ever
making the
prove it.
assumption.
Can you really ever prove it?
We're making
do,
the
do we want to open up the gate to this is a thing? I mean, do we think that from a policy standpoint, we want to create
I got you. If the company then is following all the protocols properly, can demonstrate it, somebody still gets infected, like the risk been reduced as much as reasonably can be expected, what's been, dictated or whatever in order to operate, and somebody still gets infected, then, I'm sure somebody, no would be my answer.
Acting in good faith.
Hold on. Well, Jamie, do you think it should be negligence, which is a low standard, like they were stupid about it? Do you think they can be, or they have to be like intentionally bad about it? Like, oh, you know what?
Yeah, like let people just blow off protocol. Let people just walk around without masks on, just huddle up.
Do you understand the distinction that we're talking about? Like it's a lower threshold, right? You know what I mean? All right. Here's another question. Which did you give an opinion? Do you care? Do you want to get in and talk a lot? Right now? Okay, we'll come back.
I'm good right now.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the other question, and I don't know. There may be some bias in what I'm saying there as well, from a business owner standpoint. But $600 to $2,000.
I guess I do.
Hold on. Okay.
Dollar.
If
Hold on.
you're feeling sick, stay home.
Okay.
Stay home.
Employers
Fucking
don't put
stay
guilt
home.
upon your employees to come in.
Right. That's the injustice.
Hopefully you
of people
have a good, honest relationship with your employer, and hopefully
listen,
most people do. And
it's fair to say though.
And wash your goddamn hands.
Hold on, stop with that shit for a second. No, I agree. Wash your hands. I'm not saying, but there are people that are suffering. There are like restaurants. Like let me give you an example. Restaurants that are shut down. Whatever, for whatever reason can't open. They got X amount of employees that are not working. What are they supposed to do?
Wash their hands.
Okay, but you understand my point? The idea that they're gonna, they start calling people back, and they got to get people there, and they don't want to come back, and they're gonna get sued. I mean, like that restaurant, it shouldn't be because they've done okay and they've done bad and they've done good. It should matter. Like, whether you're suffering, when you're just starting out, whether you're long term, there is a certain amount of autonomy of obviously within reason and safety, blah 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 blah. But it's a contract between the employee and the employer to sort of whatever it should be. That shouldn't change. Same kind of principles. You know what I mean? Shouldn't reinventing the wheel. And I just think like the types of things that an employer would get sued for, just hypothetically, would be the clearly identifiable things like sexual harassment, racial intimidation, some kind of, religious, I don't know. I mean, whatever, some kind of clearly identifiable discriminatory.
Continuing to work in your restaurant and giving a bunch of people typhoid.
I mean, are we going to put, that's what I'm saying, are we going to put, listen, this is what I'm saying, it's a good analogy. We're going to put those things that I just described of where an employer is liable, where they've money damages, and we're going to put like getting COVID at the place of employment at that level. Does it have that same kind of?
I think that simply getting it isn't enough.
All right, fine. Let's move on. I got a better topic. Here you go.
Thank God.
So
that was rough.
Interesting, the dynamics. The 600. Listen, I don't know. I don't even care where it's at right now. But the 600 or 2,000, right, going back and forth.
We're at 600.
They got the 600, and then our president wants 2,000 because it's not enough, and they send it back. And there's an inherent battle as things are kind of crumbling within those that were loyal and not loyal for various reasons. But I heard the various discussions on this, okay, which are, first of all, I mean, it's not even, it's more than the different. And listen, I'm not taking a position on which is better right now because it's terrible that we even have to talk about this. But it's an interesting dynamic, and I ask those that are going to participate here to think about it in these terms. You're a leader, okay? You're the leader. You're the one making these decisions about how and where. Because not just how much, but it could be where it should go, okay? Because I heard the argument that, if it goes to everybody,
Everybody.
that includes the workforce and the non-working force. And the non-working force receives their lives haven't changed theoretically. They still have their
I'm still not working.
Fixed income.
Right.
No, I'm saying the fixed income.
Yeah.
Or if they're on unemployment, they get unemployment, right?
Right.
So I'm saying to you that the first question was, if you're giving $600 to them versus $2,000 to them, you're giving them more than they've lost inherently. Like nothing's really changed. And I say that not without any empathy and not without any understanding that it goes much deeper than that because you've got multiple factors that are, and all the other things about the homeschooling and, it goes much. I mean, it's not just that kind of economic, but I raised that because it begs the question of what, if not everybody, where would it best be spent? Is there a way to spread it out where it's going to have the best, as a leader, the best impact on the economy's return? That's what I'm saying. That's a valid question, right? Did you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
I'm coming to everyone else up there and the thing. Jim, you go first. What do you say?
I say that it takes a little bit of work. I know that when they passed this, I had some comments to you all about the fact that I couldn't believe that I was going to get a check again.
Right.
It makes no sense to me. And there are plenty of organizations out there.
Well, that's a good point. Like you're fortunate, and it's not to say that other people. But why was it ridiculous to you? Because you are employed right now. You're working.
I've been employed the whole time.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. So, the argument has been so if we agree, it shouldn't be going to you.
Right.
Who should it go to, if anybody?
It should go to people that have been negatively impacted.
Which is who?
In a financial way.
Listen. Let me say this. Can we agree that there's a?
How about?
Let me say this. I don't know what the number is, but there's a category of people who are on Social Security.
Yep.
Or some other kind of government, and they don't have any other sources of income, okay? Meaning their income is solely dependent upon government funding, right? We got elderly and other lower socioeconomic, food stamps, et cetera. And that is their monthly, and that's all, right? There's nothing more, nothing less.
Yep.
That didn't, and you understand my point, that didn't change, and I'm not judging, and I'm certainly not trying to in any way disparage. I'm just making the point from this leadership, because it's something to consider. Maybe they do get it because they've had it so hard. That may be the place you go. Because there's a lot of other factors that go into that.
But let's start with people.
Wait. Yeah. So I'm saying there's a category of people you can place like that. There's a category of people that are working, the category of people that lost their jobs, that may be unemployment. But we're talking about, I don't know how many trillions of dollars that we are intending to jumpstart the economy. So where's it best spent? That's the better way. Again, good question. Answer it.
So in Michigan, I can tell you that if I was the one calling the shots, the first place that I would spend money is helping out these owners of these restaurants, especially the small non-chain ones, because they're being foreclosed on, and the impact of that on the greater economy is going to be horrible. Second, I would spend it in help to reinforce the frickin' mental health programs in our states. People are losing it. They have no support. They don't understand who to turn to. And we continue to respond by jailing these people. So I would invest there. And I would invest just in our overall medical infrastructure. The fact that we were so woefully unprepared to respond to a pandemic back in March is unacceptable. And that is something we absolutely have to fix. And the other pieces of unemployment, I mean, it seems like I'm not even sure what the new bill has, but I think that the $900 a week was enough to get people through the knothole. Maybe it's not, but that's where I would spend the money, is restaurants, unemployment, and the medical system, both mental and physical.
And I want to get everyone else's opinion, but I would say that inherent in which it's interesting, because I just thought of reasons why it may be better that the individual gets it, because it's rare that this usually happens, and usually government support goes through some organizational group thing, and when the government gets their money, they may fuck it up.
Yeah.
They scandal, steal, rob, whatever it is. It never gets to cronyism and shit.
They're fucking it up now.
I know,
what are people going to do with $600 fucking dollars?
But do you see what I'm saying?
It's going to help them out in the short term.
It's
and then
political.
They're right up fucking shit's creek.
Fine, let them buy marijuana. But do you see my point? My point is that everything you said makes sense, and that's something that people say. But the reality is that the $600 may never even come close to being seen by the people that it's intended to. So I'm saying to you that the counter argument for doing this, which is so rare, is that let them get their 600. Don't fucking have some government program fucking build and fucking do some shit come up here. I mean, I like what you're saying. I like the idea of like a COVID community center relief place where people can go and they get the food and kind of get it back on their feet. If people are getting homeless, I said this terrible.
Whatever they need, they
Well, I'm saying,
they just need a hand.
But you know how that shit goes sometimes. It's like local scandals. You know what I mean? They keep fucking. It's like. Anyways, so over to the Zoom folks. Who wants to go first up there on this? Who gets the money, and is 600 enough?
I like 2,000 more than the 600, but if 600 is all that can come out right now, then that should be put into motion.
Okay, whether it's 600 or 2,000 better for you. Who should it go to? Are you of the everybody should get $2,000 and the kids and that kind of thing? That whole plan, just like the 600 is intended.
Yeah, there's a formula for it. I mean, there's I forgot. I think a combined income of 75 or less. It's the full amount.
Combined of one.
So it's individual 75 or combined with
150.
Individual 75. Okay. Yeah, whatever the formula currently is, I'm fine with. I'm sure somebody who's charged with assessing that, who knows what they're doing more than I do.
All right, so what's the intention of this money going to the people? Let's try to throw some categories around. Let's say you've got a group of, retired people that prior to the COVID, after the COVID, they're on a fixed income, and in no way, shape, or form did the downturn in the economy effectuate the money that they get every month and the way that they live. Do they get a check? Do they get $2,000?
The answer is
no. Let Jamie answer. I'm okay.
My answer is like I'm fine with following the formula. Even if it wouldn't affect their life, it would just be a few extra bucks for them, But they are under the amount that qualifies for.
Well, I'm saying there are people that I'm not saying it hasn't had an impact all the way across the board. I'm trying to say from a leadership standpoint, what are we trying to do? Are we just giving people money directly so they can spend it as they wish and feel a little bit better about themselves, which really $600 is insult. To some it means a lot, but if we're talking about trying to uplift them, you can never really give enough money where it's going to make a difference in their life. I mean, it may make some kind of, get a little.
In some cases, it might save somebody, getting utilities shut off, getting some food.
Okay, all right, fine. I'm fine with all of that. I'm fine with all of that. But what I'm saying to you is that prior to the COVID and after the COVID, and during it, there was people on fixed incomes and their lives haven't changed. They may be people that are government assistance, and $600 or $2,000 on top of that is contributing to. And I'm not knocking this. I'm saying I just heard these arguments. Them getting the money makes them. The idea might be that they get the money themselves. They go out and spend it. The economy gets some uplift. That's the idea. It gets out there. They use it, and that's really generally the idea. But the question was, do you want to? I mean, is it worthwhile to have a conversation about who within our general population of people, had the most effect on it? I mean, obviously, there's people who've lost their jobs, they're on unemployment, they're still struggling to get back. They may need a rider that that's not the 60-70% of their income that they had for unemployment. I mean, whatever their reduction is, they may be struggling. They may have, they're probably living equal. Well, what I'm saying, like someone loses their job, they get.
Well, one thing that was kind of telling to me during the course of this, there's a point in which we needed to get some more people to work in East Tawas, just based on the scenario with staffing, and there was a pool of employees from another company under the umbrella, and some of them were on the unemployment and the additional benefits and everything, and it just wasn't worth it for them to take this job. And that particular store pays pretty well. So in some cases we're exposing, I think it kind of exposed the fact that a lot of the companies and a lot of employers aren't paying enough. So there may be some jobs, but they aren't paying enough.
True, and that may be one of the factors. And instead of being incentivized to work, staying at home and not working and getting the check.
And
All right,
eat
so
some
that
Doritos.
so I mean, Jamie, I understand that. I don't think you're advocating that we aren't, and I'm certainly not. I'm certainly not suggesting that the general population of employees shouldn't be paid more. I think we got some real problems there, but if it's not a question of. I mean, maybe it's a question of empathy. Maybe it's a question of kindness. Maybe it's the holiday spirit. But with the magic wand in your hand, as a leader, knowing that. You could give it out without any intentions. Maybe it flushes the economy if you give it to the individual. Or is there another place to invest that within our economy that's going to have a better payout down the road? Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, there are other places included, I think, some other places need attention, but direct pay to the people is something that I'm not sure what you do in lieu of it. I think it's kind of needed right now. So that would not come off the table, if I were controlling where X amount of money goes or whatever.
All right, Alan, what do you say? Curious. And Amanda, you ready?
I think that there are many people, as you said, who are on fixed incomes, who weren't working beforehand, where the coronavirus crisis has not affected them, but they're still going to get that $600 or $2,000. The problem is, how do you figure out who those few people are that aren't in that type of dire financial strait and eliminate them in those people who are under $75,000 who are otherwise going to get that? That's a very tricky thing to do, and I think you'd spend more time in employee money, government money, hiring people to try and figure that out, and then you'd make mistakes and you'd get lawsuits, and I think it's just the simpler way for the government just to give everybody in their formula the $600, and the ones that don't need it can go out and buy weed.
Amanda, did you have a thought on that?
Well, I'm kind of thinking everybody touched on all the stuff I was going to say. So, but I think it's very difficult to try to figure out which person to give it to without making some type of massive government oversight in the beginning, like with an application. Give us your stats. What's your income? How many kids do you have? And that's just it's probably not practical in a situation like this. They can't even support the unemployment claims that are coming through.
Yeah.
Still, I hear. So I guess, if you can't give it to you don't really have many choices other than to just blanket rule it in this case.
Yeah. First of all, I really like the diversity of the conversation here. I know in terms of everyone's associated employee. Jim, I think, it may be beyond that. I mean, but you are employed, so your rights as an employee, you're aware of them, and you're thinking about it in those particular contexts. And I understand that, and I like to believe I can be objective and pull myself out. But I am an employer, and I do think of this in that context, and I know how important it is.
And I've filled both roles.
I know you, and I'm not saying we can't be objective, and and I think there's a balance in between. I don't think we're that. I think we're disagreeing about stuff.
No, I think we're saying the same thing. I believe that if someone is behaving badly and being negligent, especially if you're aware of it, it can be classed as behaving badly.
I
But
know.
if you're behaving badly, you should be held liable for it.
And for legal purposes, all these things are part of the relationship of the employer and the employee. You can contract, write documents. As long as there's proper notice. I mean, as long as it's not illegal or some kind of, OSHA violation.
But that blade cuts both ways too. That's why I say that when an employer needs the employee back to work,
sure,
it's time. And you as an employee, you have the right to say no. You know what? I can't do it.
Sure. In terms of the money where it goes and stuff, and we did kind of flush them all out, and it's interesting because, the expectation of the solution on a government for any of this is a false premise. You might as well suspend reason and logic. But I do think that there is a way to kind of recognize this as an economic strategy to a certain degree, and I do think that, despite Jim's, I like the programs, Jim, because I think we need those things anyways. Yeah. Like that's the thing that's on the reform list every time and all the time, and you know.
Well, I think that honestly, the stimulus is just a distraction.
Well, I'm saying like the whole, the using the money for the programs that you're talking, all the, that's like a social reform thing we need. And that may be the way, they were trying to do some different, trying to do some riders, but all right, and I'm not opposed, but again, the problem I see is that government owned only and government administrated has been proven to be a disaster. Like the question really is, how are you going to get top-notch management of this well-funded program that's going to reach its goal? As government, I mean, I'm saying government can't do that, but they're not. You know what I mean? They settle in, and they don't draw attention, and they die. You know what I mean? That's. You know what I mean? You almost need some. You need some private public funding. I almost think you need some innovative. You know what I mean? Some kind of.
Oh, for sure.
Like new technology, but in the in these areas.
Most of these government programs should be public-private. I mean, that's just. It is what it is. You're right. The public programs tend to be doomed for failure before they even start.
It's like Red Cross shit. They give a bunch of money and they do whatever and the fucking who. I mean, I'm not saying like the relief fund stuff.
But
it doesn't
give money to an organization like the Salvation Army, and you can say there's people on both sides of that.
Does it really work? Does every time there's a relief fund, people come out and say, "Oh, the distribution of shit was great," and they.
I know that they put a tremendous amount of money into facilities where people like drug addicts that don't have a home have a place to stay at night, and I think those are the sorts of things that are worthwhile things to do.
But we're talking. So, but I think is a fair barometer of this. Who has been most affected by who in the economy is most affected by it, and I think that. First of all, I like the idea of the direct payments. I think you avoid all this government interference shit. But if I was to back it up and think about things like who's been most affected by it, there are people that have not been directly affected by it because they're on fixed incomes. And I would say small businesses have suffered the most. And this may sound biased as a business owner, but it's the same idea that if the businesses are able to keep their employees employed, keep them working, that's the same as
it's the exact same
payment to the economy. It's the same people.
It's better.
It's the same people. It's better. Exactly, it's better because the people that it's impacting is the employment community, the essential businesses. And by flourishing them, this is what builds the economy, the middle class. Right? I mean, if we're going to think about it, or you're going to give it all the corporate write-offs and they're going to do trickle-down shit. This is the way one would think about this. It's either, what I'm saying, there's three different divisions of the, I don't know. I probably sound biased because I'm a business owner, but I do think that from the economic short-term strategies, long-term strategies, if we come out of this and, people get their money, they go buy cannabis, fantastic, however long it lasts for, but it may have a better impact on, business that's struggling, waiving some rent, allowing them to do some, to do some diverting now that they're doing some, move buildings.
These businesses are not going to be there. I'm seeing.
This is what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like the idea of coming out of this with fewer businesses. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's survival of the fittest. Maybe it's the marketplace dictating. But I think that. There's a lot of disparity in who got to play, who didn't get to play, who had to shut down.
Well, here you have a. I mean, who was saying that they were going to have to be shut down for 9 months? And this is one of those situations where, but for the government's actions, these restaurants would probably be not be in as dire straits as they are. And this isn't a judgment call on the government's actions and whether they're necessary or not. But I think we can all agree that the orders are government orders and that they are closing these businesses. And as a result, the government has a responsibility to act to make these people whole, and they have not done that.
That's my point. That's an example of a business, and there's several other businesses that are impacted by the lack of ability to go participate.
Yes,
some things are going on, and maybe they're outside of the essentials, but working out, cigar bars, bars, where places people, and I realize the concerns of that. I don't know. That's where, it's, I think an underlying dynamic of all this really goes back to the general arguments of what does the government, how involved is the government in your lives? You know what I mean? And how much personal responsibility? And how far are we going to go in terms of prohibiting or allowing humans to walk through the world and do anything other than be responsible for themselves? And or acting a certain way that may be responsible for themselves, but offending somebody else because of, or, so I think it's a fine line of an interesting time in our politics of who's responsible, what's offensive, politically speaking. There's a lot of different ways people can get, so it's, I don't know, it's an interesting dynamic, and I think we're going to have no solutions ironed out tonight, but certainly different way to look at it, I think, right?
Yeah.
Or what do we learn tonight? Because it's way past our bedtime.
We learned 2020's over, but I don't think 2021 is going to be offering too much different here in the short term. So, we've got the inauguration coming up the 20th, so that'll be fun. The 6th, they'll be here any day. I know Dan's looking forward to
Yeah,
the 6th.
Dan and I were talking about that earlier.
Dirty Dan. So.
Damn it, Dirty Dan.
It'll be fun to watch. Yeah. Anyway.
92 days till Hash Bash.
I'm still suffering from battle fatigue of the day.
Well, let me leave you all. Go ahead. Anyone final thoughts? Jamie, Amanda?
No, just Happy New Year.
Same to you, Jamie. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And let me
Happy New Year,
let me leave
Alan.
you all
Happy
with
New
these.
Year, Amanda.
Happy New Year to you guys.
Here you
We
go.
do like a Walton thing now. Happy New Year, Steve. Happy New Year, Jim. Happy New Year, Mike. Happy New Year, Jamie.
All right. First,
Good idea.
thank you all for joining
I
us tonight.
started it.
Before
You
we,
went second.
thank you for joining us tonight, all of you. I appreciate you and all year and participating. I'm glad we're able to continue doing this, and we'll be back. I'm going to leave you with the counterintuitive life lessons that are full of wisdom. There's only 7 of them. Number 1, the more you try to impress someone, the less they will like you. The easiest way to get into a relationship is to be fine alone. The more you learn, the less you know. The more you admit your faults and shortcomings, the more people will like you. The more choices you have, the less satisfied you are with any particular one. If you strongly dislike a trait in someone else or are critical of something, you're probably that way yourself. And finally, good one to take with us into 2021. The only constant is change. So be ready to rock and roll and adapt.
Boom!
All right.
It is what it is.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
I'll see you next year.
It is what it is. Dirty Dan.
Good night.
Dirty Dan.
Dirty Dan!
The Planet Green Trees Show.
Join the Michigan Medical Marijuana Association today. MichiganMedicalMarijuana.org. The MMMA is focused on the well-being and safety of medical marijuana patients. The MMMA site provides the most comprehensive and up-to-date news on legal issues, politics, research, cultivation, as well as the various strange products and methods of cannabis use. Come join the discussion with the most knowledgeable and passionate advocates in Michigan today. MichiganMedicalMarijuana.org.
Before you plead, call me, Attorney Michael Comorn.
An important and historical farm crop in American agriculture is returned after having been classified as a controlled substance and illegal. On December 20th, 2018, the President signed the Farm Bill, also known as the Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018, into law. The signing of the act was great news for the hemp industry, which amended the definition of marijuana in the Federal Controlled Substances Act. Hemp is now defined as the plant, Cannabis sativa L, and any part of the plant, growing or not, with less than 0.3% THC concentration on a dry basis. The plant itself is no longer a controlled substance. Hemp is one of the most versatile plants on earth. From clothing, fiber, paper, building materials, hempcrete, biofuels, CBD, and medical uses, it has been a part of America's industry for over 200 years. Even the United States Constitution was drafted on hemp paper. The time is now. If you're thinking of getting in the farming or processing of hemp, contact our global experts, legal, and consultation teams to make sure that you're on the right road when you venture into the new hemp industrial revolution. Michigan Hemp Industries has been a leader and advocate for the return of the hemp industry, so come be a part of the new revolution in agriculture in Michigan.
We have launched.
We've completely launched. We've started the show, and it is Planet Green Trees. We're about to embark 2 hours of medical marijuana and marijuana reform in Michigan, and nationally, and internationally, and even in Spaceland. There's an argument that we evolved from the cannabis plant. Let's just be honest, okay?
Ow, what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing?
420th episode.
If you're a connoisseur, you're going to want the good stuff. And if you want the good stuff, you're going to go for the mom and pop stuff because that's the good stuff.
It's just a real pleasure to come here and congratulate you on your 420th show, and thank you for having me on a few times over the 420.
Dr. Bud Green here. Welcome to our